Welcome to Champagne Football Lemonade Banter. This season is brought to you by the Lightweight Athletic Club.
Whatever you're watching us on, please don't forget to like and subscribe.
What are we talking about there?
Oh,
Gentleman.
really?
But actually, before we actually get to the NPL stuff, what about the Australian Championship? What do you think about that?
Yeah, we've got a shit draw.
No, he's talking about the second. You're talking about
Second
the
tier.
For me, it's
Yeah.
look. I was at A-League clubs. Not pretty much 3 out of the 4 clubs I was at financially and struggling. When I say struggling, the cost of an A-League team, just forget the players' wages. We're talking stadium hires, cost them 50, 60 grand a game.
Yeah.
How many tickets are they selling to a game?
Yeah.
A lot of them are struggling finding the flight, accommodation, breakfast, lunch and dinner. You're there for 3 days. So you go the night before the game, you play the game, you fly back the next day. So there's a lot of cost involved.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to be viable financially. It might be for a year or two, but how long can you go? And my other thing is too, for example, not having a go, say Perth get relegated this year. A New South Wales or a Victorian team will most likely come in because they're the strongest in the NPL. So then now you've got to, if it's going to be a promotion relegation thing, you're going to have another Sydney or Melbourne team. And then say Brisbane get relegated the next year.
Before you know, it's just Sydney Melbourne teams.
Longer term. Yeah, so I don't, look, I'd love nothing more than to have that promotion relegation, because I remember one of my coaches, no name, saying, hey, what's the worst thing that can happen in Australia? You come last, you just start again next year.
Oh, fuck.
So you get me? It's a shit mindset.
You need consequences.
Because there's no consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if you're last, you start playing the younger boys, giving them a go. But then now it's different. I've never experienced that.
I actually think there's no promotion relegation for a period of time, I believe.
Yeah.
So
But
it's like,
we're talking eventually, what's it going to get to?
yeah, it's hard.
Yeah,
man.
to have a second tier it'll be good. But how does it work? I remember when I first started the NSL days, sometimes you'd fly the day of the game, play, and then try to get the last flight out.
Yeah.
Is it going to be like that again?
Yeah, and that's fucking tough for the players, man.
Yeah, full-time. Now you're talking full-time wages. Boys are not going to have their second job, for example.
Yeah.
What's it going to look like financially, wages-wise?
Yeah.
Well, you look at Sydney United.
Yeah.
Sydney United, when they won the NSL, Parramatta Power came in. The whole team moved to Parramatta, most of the players.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, that's where it started. Dave Mitchell's coaching at Sydney United. Then they won the NSL, and then Parramatta Power was forming. Parramatta Power appointed Laurie McKenna and Dave Mitchell. And a lot of the Sydney United boys jumped ship to Parramatta Power. Why? For, obviously,
To be full-time.
be paid.
Yeah.
Like a proper full-time
yeah.
player. It was a financial thing, and obviously a new club. So they knew they weren't earning anywhere near as what they were going to earn when they went to Parramatta Power. So that you just won a championship with your club.
Yeah, and now you're leaving.
And bang, straight away you left.
Yeah, but that's the A-League has that issue. You
Yeah.
got a salary cap. At the end, you win the league, those players that were 18, 19 that come through, then now get offered 100 grand to go somewhere else, where they're on 50 with you. And you're like, I can't fit this guy extra 50 extra. Then we're going to be over the cap again. So the salary cap's hard to deal with for clubs. But for me, it's just the financial side of things.
Yeah, difficult.
There is teams, maybe a Marconi, maybe a Sydney Olympic. I don't know what their financial situation is. If they can afford it and it's viable for all the clubs, for me, I think it's awesome, because there's nothing like an away game. Go with the boys and interstate and to see where the quality is at in Queensland, in Perth and Melbourne, Sydney or New South Wales. So I think it'll be great for Australian football.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well, because looking at the games in Melbourne at the weekend, Preston Lions played Altona Magic. There's 5,500 people there, man.
Yeah, but that's Preston's have a good.
But so that's,
good
as you
following.
say, for the players that are playing here in New South Wales to potentially go down and have games like that, or a South Melbourne versus an Olympic.
Yeah. That was my debut. When I debuted in NSL, South Melbourne versus Sydney Olympic.
That was your first game?
That was my first NSL game.
Wow.
At Bob Jones Stadium in Melbourne.
Oh, wow.
And, I remember, I was a young kid and, there was a lot of terrorism and Muslim and da-da-da, and I was copping it. And Peter Flea was our assistant coach at Olympia. And he saw me giving it back to the fans. He just called me over, sat me on the bench. And then when it was time to come on, he's like, you ready to go on? No warm-up, nothing, no prehab, mate. Put the shinnies on, I was straight on the pitch because, and it was great, the old NSL.
Yeah.
For me, it's
I've seen some videos, it's good.
How do we get football to be number one here? There's a lot of work. Maybe the B League is.
I think something has to change. Well, that's right or wrong, time will tell, but you can ask a million people and every person's like, if they say it's crap, it's like, what's the solution? And they don't really have an answer. So it's
unless
like,
you do it,
okay,
100%. It's either great or it fails. Then we start again. What's next?
So what happens with the clubs, say, for instance, the B League, right, that play on synthetic? That's their home ground. What happens?
That's fine.
Yeah, I think
they still play on synthetic?
I assume so. So if Sydney United are playing at King Tom, that's synthetic, isn't it?
No, I'm saying if they get, say for instance,
we're not talking promotion. What they're saying for the B League, the first few years there's no promotion.
Okay.
It's just them playing.
Everyone plays against each other.
No, this year's actually a little bit, this year's like a Champions League format. There's basically like 4 groups of 4 teams.
Yeah. Okay.
I think they tried to make it like a league initially this year, but then what happened was finances were an issue, a bit chaotic, so they said, you know what, let's just get it going. So we'll just do a 16-team comp.
They play Melbourne teams.
So I think there's like 8 foundational teams.
Yeah.
So like Apia, Wolves, Sydney United, South Melbourne, I think Preston. I don't know, I'm missing something on the top of my head, but the main teams who you'd imagine. And then I think the 8 remaining teams is like who's the highest ranked team in NPL New South Wales, who's the highest ranked team in Victoria. Then it goes into like a 4-group comp.
I think it'd be good.
I think it'll be good as well, but I think the logistics, finances, and then the question. So we had Peter Sakenis on a couple of weeks ago, and he was asking from Marconi's side, like, what happens to Marconi NPL if it goes on? Like, what happens to the 20s? And there's obviously a lot of those questions.
There's going to be a lot.
Yeah. I think, but again, you've got to think the people at the higher top table have got some foresight and thought about these things, and they've got a contingency plan. We don't know. That's the thing. It's hard to make too much of an opinion when you don't actually know.
Like me, I played in the A League. I played in the old NSL. I've played in the NPL.
Yeah,
I know how it works.
Yeah,
but that side of things, when it comes to finance, obviously it's out of my hands.
Is it sustainable?
It'll be.
That's a question.
But you're not going to know until you do it.
That's right.
Yeah. No, I think if you ask most people, like, do you know what, something had to change, because at the moment, A League, there's not a lot of people going to the games. You can't get relegated. NPL's not a lot of people going to the games. There's a lot of players who maybe could go A League, but there's just not enough opportunity to get to a full-time environment. It's just something has to bridge that gap. And you obviously have your academy, and you see good lads who could potentially can't quite go overseas for whatever reason. It's not right timing, don't have a passport. But where do they go? A League clubs are full.
Yeah.
So where do you go?
And this is the problem we got. You got a 23-man squad, say, in the A League.
Yep.
5 of them are foreigners.
Yep.
2 or 3 keepers. Like, how many players are left? Like, there's every squad's so little.
Yeah.
They used to compare it to a pyramid.
Yeah.
We all start down here, and then slowly it just filters off, and only a small minority make it.
Yeah.
It's not easy to make it. Now, for me, I always tell the younger players, you've got more of a chance now. Because the A League, in terms of finances, I remember the salary cap was 3.4 million when I finished up, and now it's gone heaps down. So where does that leave clubs? You got to sign a lot of young players. A lot of young players now that are getting given a chance, it's great for them. But I go back 5-6 years when we were playing, there's a good chance they wouldn't have even made our bench.
Yeah.
And that's not having a go at them. It's just, that's where the standard's at. And I remember, I watched some videos that come up on Insta of our games at Newcastle Jets, for example. We had 16,000. It was always 15, 12. We had good crowds. Adelaide was the same thing, because there was a hype, there was a vibe, there was quality players coming from overseas to come play.
Yeah.
Now, where's the league at?
So you don't really get a lot of marquee, like big players in the league anymore, do you?
Yeah, you don't. We had a Del Piero, we had a Heskey,
I think now you're looking at
we had some good players.
The two is obviously Douglas Costa and Juan Mata, which is, to be honest, is quite a
massive.
Big statement.
But is the hype as big?
Yeah, it's not.
Mate, Mata, they're big players.
Yeah.
Del Piero, I remember the Italian community in Adelaide is massive. When Del Piero came, mate, 16,000 Coopers were gone in a second.
Yeah.
Then there was dinners that were set up, and people would happily pay $500 to sit down and have dinner with him.
Yeah.
So there was a big hype. Now look at it, we got two massive players that are playing in Sydney. But I don't feel like it's putting extra asses on seats. You get me?
What's the average crowd at A-League, you think? You know? Average attendance?
I wouldn't know. Like, I'm sure the PFA always comes up with all that stuff, average attendance, the quality of the pitches and all that. I don't feel like the numbers are the same as what they were. I could be wrong, but when I'm sitting at home watching it, it doesn't feel like there's that much of an atmosphere anymore.
No, it's not. We spoke about it last week. It's if I'm at home, if I flick it on, depending on where the camera's set, you see a full empty stand.
And that's the thing too. The cameras like to set one way.
Yep.
But then is that always painting the true story? Because sometimes the crowd sitting here because maybe it's in the shade, for example, or maybe they're the better paid seats. People sitting on this side. But then you see Wanderers. I love Wanderers. It's my backyard. They play in my backyard pretty much. The way the fans get treated sometimes. The police presence and all that.
It's rubbish.
You look at Europe and you see the way their fans are and the flares. And not that I'm encouraging flares or anything, but
I love the derby. Sydney FC and Western Sydney. I think it's unbelievable. Like, we want the games to be all like that.
Yeah.
And you see the people come out when Sydney FC and Western Sydney are playing.
Yeah.
And you see the passion. You see the passion.
The other games are not there.
But unfortunately, it doesn't filter through to the other teams. If say for instance Wellington Phoenix playing Western Sydney or Sydney FC, the crowd wouldn't be anywhere near as that.
Yeah. But would you get that with it? So that's my point with maybe the Australian Championship. That is to me the first step of maybe getting that spark back, because you got the political side of things, the culture aspect. If there's a Greek club playing an Italian club or something like that, you start to get those fans coming in more droves to try and support it, and I think you get the cultural aspect, and that's really, for me, that's what Australia is really all about, celebrating a big mix of culture.
Yeah, of course.
But I think that's where the NSL and the A-League, where it changed, because they didn't want the ethnics to be, the Croatians, the Serbians, the Macedonians, the whatever Greeks, it was, the Greeks. So they kind of pulled that away. Like, I remember Adelaide, when we played the grand final against Wanderers, 55,000 people at Adelaide Oval, sold out. There was 10,000 people come just from Western Sydney. The hotel. So you talk about tourism and South Australian tourism. They were paying big money to get money into the South Australian economy. That was named one of the biggest events in South Australia because, and that was a football game. But then the year I left the A-League, I went and watched Western United, the Melbourne City, and this not having a go at them. But I went to the grand final. It was like watching. The crowd was empty. A grand final at Amy Park, it wasn't even full. So it kind of shows you like where's the league at when it comes to that sort of stuff. I guarantee, if it was Wanderers, Sydney FC, Adelaide Victory, you'll get a sellout. But how about the other teams? We've expanded, but have we brought more people to the game?
But I think it's difficult because, like, you look at all the teams in the A-League, most of them are relatively new teams. And you look at, like, football overseas, there's history involved with football clubs. So you grow up supporting. Whereas you look at a Western United, I don't know what year they were founded in, but there's not really that, like, growing up supporting that one team. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what's always going to be difficult until, obviously, maybe
the next generation.
Years, then it becomes, right, okay, now families start to support a club because one person does. Whereas that's what football has elsewhere in the world.
And I think that's where the biggest problem has been. Like, for me, growing up, right, I was in the NSL days. I started playing for Sydney Olympic. I wanted to play for Sydney Olympic. But then now, for example, kids are playing at Marconi, but their dream is to play for Wanderers. But then Sydney FC pick them up. And they're like, okay, I'll just go to Sydney FC. You get me? You hit it on the head. It's in Spain or every other country in Europe, for example, you grow up in Barcelona. You want to play for Barcelona. Like, for example, a kid in Western Sydney, you'd think he'd want to play for Western Sydney, but it's like, no, Central Coast want me.
Whatever the opportunity comes.
Of course.
And then you love that club. Like me, I love Newcastle Jets when I was there. But then I signed for Wanderers. I was like,
I love Wanderers.
Then I went to Adelaide.
You love every time you
go.
Mate,
you get me? That was the best part of my football career was when I went to Adelaide. So, like, every club kind of has a special place in my heart. Like, even sometimes when I'm watching them play against each other, I'm like, I don't even know who I
don't know who I win.
I'm just a draw.
Just enjoy the game.
It's
Enjoy the
a
game.
big one. As you said, that's the culture we've
Don't
built.
lie, you don't even watch them.
Let's have a wee quick jump to the NPL results from the weekend.
NPL 1. We'll start with NPL 1. So Rockdale Marconi was a big game at the weekend. Do you pay much attention to NPL still?
I follow some of the boys that I obviously have played with. So
Yep.
like Marco Yesic, Dominic Costanza.
Oh, yeah.
Marconi, I tend to follow where they're going. I think they beat them.
Yeah. 1-2-1.
They scored late.
Aye, Clemente scored late.
So, and obviously Saka and Flea are very good friends of mine. So I don't mind seeing Marconi, even though I've got no relation to Marconi. I don't mind seeing them
another team
do
you support.
and especially when especially coming off what they did last season. I think it's great. So
yeah.
Well, they won 2-1. Big game, obviously, at Ellington Sports Centre. From the highlights, so Rockdale, obviously, they won the league last year, but Rockdale didn't look like they deserved the win for the highlights. Marconi, Chaz, that goalkeeper, if you didn't know that, so he's always top. Goalkeepers, obviously, maniacs.
Just goalkeepers, we don't get enough credit, do you know what I mean? So,
Goalkeepers are special.
Breed, mate. Special breed, mate.
Very special people. 'Cause I've never met a normal goalkeeper in my life.
no,
But they are fun.
Aye, good
So
laugh.
I like
Aye.
yeah.
Well, Soros for Rockdale.
Aye. Me too.
But what do you think of him for the second goal?
I think that he made the wrong decision to go with his hands.
Was it?
He
I
was
think he knew that as soon as he done it.
Yeah,
He sort of grabbed his head.
because he was in a good position actually, where he was in the block, and then he took a little bit of a bigger touch and he's trying to pounce on it with his hands. Whereas if he even maybe takes another steps, or even if he stayed, I reckon he saves it with his foot. And they've got a touch to put it through, to put it past him. But then you're looking at, as you say, I think Hilton made a massive save as well at one each.
Aye, Euro.
Aye. Massive save. But from the highlights, it looked like Marconi deserved to win.
A big 3 points. That's Marconi. Rockdale won 4 points.
4 points. I actually have them.
Do you ever watch any of the highlights in like the NPL games?
I do catch it a little bit on my socials.
Aye, you see bits and pieces on social media.
Spirit has surprised me.
Yeah. Aye, sports science, mate.
Sports science. They look really fit.
No, but seriously, like Blacktown and they're big. Apia. They're big teams that they're beating.
Yeah, that's actually a good transition.
Spirit. Good result, obviously 3-0. I think the big surprise for a lot of people was last week beating Blacktown 4-0.
Yeah.
Away from home, and then
is it the Japanese got?
That's the boy I was talking about. That's the boy I was talking about. Off Kubu.
He scored a hattie last week.
He's a good player, man. But the thing is, I think everyone was last year was like last week. Oh, Blacktown must have played crap.
Yeah.
And then this week, some people are still saying, "Well, Wappy must have been crap." I'm like, well, there has to be some point when you go, well, you don't score 7 goals with no conceding without some sort of structure. I think that this year we have changed a fair bit at Spirit. Like we changed training a little bit in terms of training nights.
Yeah.
We recruited like Gaffer Perko. He recruited really well. Big issue, obviously, NPL is always your budget. Yeah. Spirit's not renowned for having a massive budget. And in previous years, he's used that budget in a different way. This year, he's really went to strengthen his core 11 players as opposed to try to get some depth. He got some big signings like the Japanese boys, 2 Japanese boys who've been excellent for us. And then we got back a couple of boys who had long-term injuries last year. They came in. So we've got the good thing about Spirit is the gaffer's been there for so long, and he's kept a lot of some players for
the core
players. So like they know it's about important players. Aye, so we sort of know their identity. It's a bit of a buzzword identity, but they do know what they're all about. So I think that's one thing that keeps us in good stead is the structure. And one thing we've always missed with Spirit, we've always done all right, like 10th, 9th, etc. Won the Waratah, got a good last 16 FFA Cup, but we've never had a 9. Nobody can score goals, and in NPL there's always chances.
Yeah.
And if you've not got a number 9, it's so tough. And having Kubu at the moment and having Afuka and Mikey Conestable, good strikers, we've got goals and we've scored 10 goals in 3 games. So
helps. I think that's been our biggest issue at Parramatta.
Oh, is it?
We've dominated games. It's just putting the ball in.
Yeah.
Like we could have won games 5, 6, 7, but we won the first time 1-0. We make it just hard for ourselves. As you said, it's so important to have a guy that can score.
Because then you play against a team that you say your first 10 minutes you can score 3,
yeah.
and the other team you're playing has got a good 9, and he scores like bastard.
Yeah.
If he'd only scored those 3, you got
and then in the NPL, what I've noticed, you cop 1 or 2. Same before the game. If we score 1 early, we can go on with it.
Yeah.
But then it flips the other way. You miss 1 or 2 early, and
Aye.
they score 1, then they get the confidence.
Score 3, 4,
and I've
5,
noticed
6,
that about the NPL. It's so like
unpredictable.
If you get off to a good start,
it's so unpredictable.
If you look at NPL 1 just now, like the results are mental.
Yeah,
Sydney United drew again.
with Manly.
With Manly. Sydney Olympic drew again. They hardly picked up any points. These are teams who are obviously big clubs going to the Australian Championship.
Olympic as well. Olympic and Wolves was nothing each.
And you've got Sutherland, Sharks and Spirit at the top of the table. Top two.
Sutherland's come out nowhere. I remember them being always struggling every year when I was playing in NPL 1. But then I see them now, I'm like, okay. But they've recruited well too.
They have recruited well.
Up front, so they've got some quality, and it's showing.
Well, I think from moving from the Spirit game, I think Apia are always going to be top 4 regardless. They looked. Again, it's hard to say because I'm only biased naturally. I mean, we were like. I feel like we restricted how they could play, so they maybe forced them into situations where they didn't want to be in. Chaz, you went to watch the game. You can give maybe your own opinion on it, but I think from an Apia standpoint, not Spirit, obviously, just talk from an Apia standpoint. What do you think?
I think they really struggled to create anything.
Aye.
Like that was the big. So I watched maybe 70 minutes of the game, and Chris was really quite comfortable. Like there was no real point where you thought they looked like scoring. Do you know?
And at Lambert Park as well, it's a tough place to go.
Like I remember, like last week's game, I saw the highlights. Like Jack Stewart against the Mariners, he set up so many chances,
I know, mate.
And he's one of those players.
Yeah,
I feel a lot of teams, if you shut him down, you've got a good chance because he doesn't do too much.
I was going to say the two sides, having a guy and a Japanese boy in the wing, Kawaguchi. Those two boys are like a lot goes down that side.
Yeah,
and if you can nullify that to a certain degree. It does go a long way. They're missing Rory Jordan, who's
I actually thought the boy Denmead was it on the other wing. I thought he had a few moments of like spark creatively. Looked like there was a good player, but again, there was just nothing at the end. Like all right passages of play, but without really creating anything.
Well, they'll be disappointed. And then going to the Sharks game, Sharks played Wanderers, didn't they?
Yes, he did. 1-1 now.
Wong scored a cracker again. He's a good player. That's when I said round 1. He's one to watch. He's a good player. Wanderers looked all right, but.
Yeah, they did.
From the highlights. What about the Wanderers? Am I right in saying they had a few boys off?
All the thing.
Because they got the Australian under 20s,
under
17s.
Everyone's away.
They've just had their tournaments now. They just finished. So they'll probably get their players back now. But the Wanderers, their academy is doing, like in their 20s and 23s, they're doing really well.
Yeah.
Like I remember playing them. You go back, I'm going back, way back to NSL days. If our 20s, if there was a young squad, like an AIS, for example, if you bullied them early, they're done. With these boys, they take it and they actually bounce back. Like I was at Mount Druitt, mate, MacArthur Bulls, Wanderers, Sydney FC, Central Coast. Their young boys actually just keep going.
Yeah.
Which is surprising.
They've got a lot more you were mentioning earlier on about how when you're playing with Parramatta, you get some lads going like to you, you're shit. You get a lot of the younger academy lads giving experienced lads shit, like, you're washed up and that sort of thing. I'm like, mate, you're like 16, man. Fucking hell, man, it's brilliant.
We actually had it at the weekend. I think Newcastle Jets were hanging us like, they're celebrating beating 16-year-olds or something.
They've got that wee cocky attitude, which I think helps with the physicality because they've got a wee bit about them. I mean, it's a wee bit.
Get stuck in.
Get stuck in, which is good, man.
You
need to. If you want to take your game to the next level, you got to have that bit of mongrel in you.
If
you don't have it, you won't make it.
Because
you'll get eaten alive.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, at the highest level.
100%. So we'll look at we'll go to one of Euro teams, Mount Druitt. Picked up their first 3 points of the season.
Do you still keep in touch with what's happening there?
I do tend to watch a few games. We played them in a friendly game.
Yeah.
They had that Brazilian
Pedrinho.
Yeah.
Scored
a cracker at the weekend.
I've watched him, and I've watched him play. Like when we played against them, myself and Trav, who's my centre-back partner, we were stepping in on him a lot. And we caught him on the ball a fair bit. Then I watched him in the other games, how much time he had.
Yeah.
You can't allow a player of that quality that much time because he'll score a bomb.
100%.
That was at 25 yards.
And it came from nothing. He was running that way. And he just hit it that way. That was a great finish.
So, like, for me, Mount Druitt, seeing them go down when I was there, I was thinking to myself, how? Like, we were better than what we showcased. And now to see him back up, it makes me happy because of the relationship I've got with the guys there. But I'd probably recognise 4 players when I played against them in the friendly game. So they've had a lot of changes. I know their budget's not massive, so they've really had to recruit well with a smaller budget. And I think they did. They They scored late too, huh? To win 3-2.
They
Is
scored
that what
later.
it was?
I think it was in the last 10 minutes. They scored 82nd minute.
I guess St George were 2-1 up.
Yeah,
and
then they came back 3-2.
Good character from them, obviously, going from a goal up to 2-1 down.
But St George Saints, so that's 3 games they've been winning.
Yeah.
3 games they've lost.
And then you look at even, again, going back to goalkeepers, Niski's made a massive 1v1 save in the 92nd minute or something.
Niski's good for that because he's a natural futsal keeper.
Right, okay.
So he's good at that, making
big.
himself big. But then sometimes...
What does it look like?
Huh?
What does it look like?
What's the technique?
But I remember when I was there, I'd be like, sometimes I'd be like, oh, Niski, like he could have come out for that cross. But it's like, then you got to realise that in futsal, how many crosses are you going to come out for? You get me? So he's really on his line. So a one-on-one for him is, that's probably where he's better at.
A big save, but to preserve the win. So well done to Mount Druitt, picking up the first 3 points. Sydney Olympic Wolves.
Oh, that game looked fucking terrible.
It did look quite...
The highlights of the game, you see the highlights of the game? It was like, all the highlights is like Rockdale Marconi, 7 minutes long.
2 minutes and 50 seconds.
2 minutes 50 seconds. It was like shot from 30 yards out, keeper collects it, half time. I'm like, what the fuck? That was it. That was terrible, man.
But then I look at like Olympic, even last year.
Mate.
On paper, they got a good team.
They've always got a good team, mate. They've always got a good team. The only thing that saved them last year is they had Roy O'Donovan. They scored 20 odd goals, and
but even
obviously
when I
seasoned
played
player.
against them when I was at Mount Druitt, like I looked at some of the boys they had, like a Fitzgerald. They had players that played A-League and not just played,
5 games.
They
proper
played
experienced
veterans
players.
of the game. And Sydney Olympic obviously is where I played my juniors and played my first grade professional game. So I've got a special place for Sydney Olympic. And every time I keep a little eye out for him, and then I see him not doing well. I'm thinking, what's going on there?
I don't know what's going on there. They've got
quality.
They've always got quality. They've got a bit of money behind them. Got good, as you said, got a bit of fan base, and they always sign well. On paper, they should do well.
Yeah.
But every time I see them play, I don't really know what their style of play is. The biggest weapon for me is Adam Parkhouse out wide. Great deliveries, but last year it was him whipping it in, O'Donovan finishing. Not really see. I don't like. They've got Cyrus. Big Cedric up front. He missed a good few chances.
Yep. The boy Oliver Yates made some good saves in goal for Wolves.
He looks a good keeper.
Yeah, he does look
a good keeper. But Wolves will be good this year. They've got a new gaffer, Warren Greaves, who
yeah.
some people know from the Football New South Wales. He's a good gaffer, and they've got a lot of unknowns. And that's the thing in the NPL. You've got all these guys, you don't know who they are. So because usually the NPL is a bit of a wash machine of old players just cycling round.
Yeah.
And you've got these unknowns. You don't know how good they're going to be.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
They need to get a finger out of their arse. Olympic, they're going to be in trouble.
Very true.
They're going to be in trouble.
St George with a dominant 5-0 win over Sydney FC.
A young Sydney FC side.
Young Sydney FC.
Comfortable. That was. Is that their first win, Sydney? St George?
No. Yes, it is actually. They drew.
The first one?
They drew, lost, and then they won at the weekend.
5-0, comfortable.
Dakota scored a screamer.
I can't remember the goal.
No, it took a big deflection. I'm talking shit.
Oh, did I?
That was a good result for them. And finally, Blacktown City.
Central Coast.
4-1.
Central Coast, the top of A-League clubs, Central Coast are in trouble. I think they've shipped like 12 goals, 13 goals or something.
Yeah.
They lost 6-2 at
15.
15 goals in 3 games?
I was watching the highlights.
In trouble.
Yeah.
Mitchell Malia, did you see the first goal with Malia? He literally just jogged, half paced. Just don't take it from Malia, great player, but it looked so easy for him, man.
Yeah.
So easy for him.
It's worrying for them, actually. Like, you're looking at, as you say, the next generation, so to speak, and like, they're just not being competitive. You don't mind them losing games,
That's right.
but the manner in which they're losing games is concerning.
Too easy.
Yeah,
too easy.
It's too easy.
How's that? What do you think about that? What do you boys think from a development standpoint? Because obviously you've got Sydney FC, Wanderers, and Central Coast in the NPL 1. To be fair, usually they're fairly competitive, but they sort of fluctuate. But say, for instance, Central Coast keep going the way they're going. How good is that, or how useful is that for development, as opposed to potentially them playing NPL 2 and being a bit more itchy-peachy?
I remember when I was at Druitt, Wanderers youth team was in that relegation battle.
Yep.
And they were just safe. And I remember speaking to the guys at Wanderers, and they were like, mate, it'll be a disaster for us if we go down. And I think it'll be the same with Central Coast, because I was coaching there with Luke Wilkshire.
Yeah.
I was the 20s coach and he was the 23s. We had some top quality players. But now, see, some of them are playing in the A-League.
Yeah.
But the majority of them have gone to your Leichhardts, your Senior Olympics. A lot of players have gone now to NPL 1 teams. It's kind of like what you were saying before about spirit. You've kept the core set of players that you keep for a long time and then you just build around them.
Yeah.
And Mariners doesn't really have that.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of
Lot of
like you've
transition,
got 1 or 2 years window. The players do well, great. If not, then they just go because it's a under 23s squad.
Yeah,
so
of course.
that's a bit of a dilemma for them. Then they usually come good towards the back end of the season when the A-League finishes, and then they start getting the A-League boys. Then I think that's where you're going to see a lot of the A-League boys dropping back to help them stay up.
Okay. We should see that with the Wanderers and Sydney FC next few weeks, shouldn't you?
Yeah.
I think also with the Mariners, it's very hard to find all those local players
from Sydney.
And then you've got to go to sort of Sydney to try and get some good young potential players. But then how does that kid travel to training?
Yeah.
It's, they don't, some of them don't drive. Their parents got to take them. Is there heart in it? The opportunity might arise, but then you've bitten off more than you can chew. Your parents are saying you can't drive you up 3 times a week.
You're an old child, and you take someone.
Do you know what I mean? So you lose a lot of those young good players because they say, well, I can't get to the Central Coast.
Yeah.
I can't afford to rent and live there. My family isn't willing to make the move. So a lot of players say it's a small pool that you're going to get from the Mariners, from the coast areas.
Yeah, that's a good point. Right?
And then you got Newcastle. That's not too far away from them.
Yeah. Newcastle produces a lot of players too, though.
Yeah, but
there's a big, there's a lot of Greeks there. There's a lot of Italians, a lot of Macedonians in Newcastle.
Yep.
So and they've still got that Hamilton Olympic, and they've got clubs there that Edgeworth. That it's very similar to the New South Wales League because they've got their own league there.
Yeah, it's not a bad league too.
It's not bad. So they're producing players. Where Central Coast is no real league. They're either in the Sydney League or in the...
Yeah,
it's a tough one for Central Coast.
I think also you look at when you are young at these clubs, you obviously don't get a lot of money. They can't afford to live up there. But then they could potentially go to an NPL 2 club and get a bit more money.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's the issue.
The problem.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
Are you going NPL 2?
Nah.
What? No?
NPL Victoria.
Oh, that's right. And you go get
I watched all their games.
Victoria games?
No, I didn't.
I just don't say I don't think you can watch it anywhere. Have you managed that?
Nah, just a quick run through the scores. Macedonian Derby, Preston Lions played Altona Magic. As I said to you earlier, 5,500 out to watch that game, which is class. Preston Lions won 1-0. Romero with the assist. Leighton Brooks scored his 3rd goal in 3 games. Frangi's also at Altona Magic.
That's yeah.
Yeah,
Anthony Frangi.
Is
he in Melbourne?
He's in Melbourne.
I don't know.
I remember he was there and then he came back to here.
Yeah, so he's at Altona Magic with the Heroes as well. They both played
Heroes as well?
Yeah.
Nice.
Preston got a man sent off for half an hour to go, but to be honest, I actually saw the highlights. That's it. They didn't look like scoring Altona Magic. Green Gully drew 1 each with Hume City. Melbourne Knights lost 3-1 at home to Avondale. Port Melbourne lost 2-0 to Oakley Cannons. Altona Magic. No, that's wrong. Dandenong Thunder, drew 2 each with Dandenong City. And Melbourne Victory drew 3 each with South Melbourne. It looked like a mad game, to be honest.
It was a big good game, that one.
I was going to say, that's big derby. Is that classed as a derby?
Yeah, it would be.
Melbourne Victory. But it was 1-0 until the 75th minute.
And finished 3-3?
So Victory went 3-2 up. That was the first time they went ahead in the 92nd minute. And then South Melbourne equalised in the 95th.
Oh, scenes.
That's a cracker game.
There's nowhere to watch it, is there at all?
So this was South Melbourne have got a TV channel, I discovered. So it was on YouTube.
But only the live game, no highlights?
No, they had the highlights thing.
Oh, okay, sweet. I might watch that later. That sounds like a good
game. They had, and then Preston Lions had highlights as well, so I watched that. And there was one more. I think it was Melbourne Knights had highlights of their game against Avondale, so I got some of the highlights from Knights.
Your ex-teammate is the president, I think, of Hume.
Yeah, Urson.
He's there. Yeah, he's
They've got some players that used to play.
They did okay in the
They
FA
signed
Cup
some
last
good
year.
players in the off-season. They've signed some good...
Well, some good players. Victoria's at a good standard as well.
Yeah, it does
Good
look
standard,
good. Standard looks good.
Yeah.
And it's most of it's grassy as well.
Yeah.
Most of it's on grass.
What's your thoughts on synthetic?
I hate it.
Did you play much on synthetic?
And
obviously, as you got older, but when you were playing like in your 20s and that,
never.
Never.
Probably one out of, I think Seymour Shaw's like the only artificial pitch.
I mean, I understand the need for it in terms of because of weather and stuff like that, but when you play on a grass pitch,
it's different.
Nice, man.
It's different,
mate. It takes me double the time to recover. I don't know if it's because of my age, but I remember like in the A-League, there was rules. You know, if you were playing an NPL team, you try to play it on grass. I remember the FFA Cup, which is now the Australian Cup. There was like a thing where A-League teams, if you were playing A-League teams, you would go to another field, which was grass. And I think Wanderers played Blacktown once, and it was on the artificial, and the players were kicking up a stink because it changes the way you play.
Yeah, massively.
You know, the pace of the ball, the bounce of the ball, on your joints. Imagine playing midweek and then you got to double up for a derby on the weekend.
Imagine going in for a slide tackle.
I know,
yeah, that didn't help.
Stuck to the bed sheets.
Imagine being a goalkeeper.
Yeah. Just in general, just imagine.
There's been times like I'm in a situation where I need to make a last ditch tackle.
And you're thinking about it.
You're thinking about the scab you're going to cop.
I'm not thinking about that.
I just say, mate, shoot, and just and
I'll just stick my leg out. I remember at Arsenal, the old Highbury, that was the best grass I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, was it? As in this well kept?
It looked like artificial, but it was grass. And it was, mate, you'd slide like that. That's how perfect that grass was.
Yeah.
And real game is played on grass.
Yeah.
Right? So for us at Para FC, our stadium's a big stadium.
Yeah.
And a lot of teams that play on synthetic struggle at our pitch because it is so big.
Yeah.
And the pace of the ball and that. So
the bounce as well. The bounce.
Everything changes. So when we go to synthetic, it's like, fuck, what do we do here? It's hard. Like the balls that you ping, the ball just goes out.
Yeah.
You know, the winger makes a run and he's like, tries to get there and he doesn't. And then he's hesitant to make another run because he thinks if it gets over here, it's going to go. Even the bounce of the ball.
Yeah.
You know, you mistime it. It's just, I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I'm not a fan of it.
If I could, in an ideal world, I would be training grass, playing grass, but you need groundsmen, full-time groundsmen. Yeah. The weather's a nightmare. It'd be very difficult to maintain because what ends up happening is, yes, you've got a great grass pitch, but then on Mountain Druitt, we played Mountain Druitt 2 years ago. I think you actually played in the game, and we got them like round 2 or something, round 3, and the grass was actually really good.
Unreal.
But then I went to watch a game at Mountain Druitt towards the tail end of the season. Yeah. It's a different
winter,
game, man.
Yeah, because then winter comes in,
so it's like
it kills it.
Hard, man.
It's a tougher one. Did Mountain Druitt train on that pitch?
Yeah.
Oh, these, eh?
Yeah.
That's
grass.
So the first grade and 20s used to train.
Grass. Yeah, and everyone else here because the
second
second one's now the
synthetic. They got Bougainville at the back.
Yeah,
so they've got good facilities.
Jump on NPL 2. I'm confused. In Alliance, sorry. Back-to-back wins. They beat Berries 4-1 at Jensen Park. It was 1 each at half time, and Inter scored 3 in the second half to record a good win for them, to be fair. Northern Tigers continued their good start to the season. They beat
Kai
Hills.
Denton scored, didn't
he? Yeah, he scored twice.
Aye.
Beat Hills 3-0. Lockie Lloyd scored again. He's getting old and he's still scoring goals.
We played him
pre-season.
Yeah. Kai Denton scored twice.
He's a good boy. Kai Denton from Northern Tigers, striker. Played 2 years ago. I think he was the top goal scorer in the league. Then I think he got injured last year. And then this year he's scoring again, but he's one to, I think he'll go.
How old is he?
He's quite young, isn't he?
Yeah, he's youngish. I'm not sure.
21?
Yeah, about there. But he's good. We beat Newcastle Jets away. We beat them 3-1. The first time they've lost, I think it was 32 games. It was a good win for us. Full scored corner. Quilligan scored a free kick, and Shaw.
How was Jets?
I thought they were actually really good, to be honest.
Are they young? You've not
when we played them last year, so they went now with Parramatta.
Yeah, I saw they were. Aye.
Mate, they were good.
Yeah, I thought
they just kept them. But then they had a lot of players that now have gone to A League.
I thought they were good.
So they would have lost a lot of their quality because they had those older boys.
There's so many rotations and movement off the ball, and it's just constant, man.
They just keep running
I thought
and moving the ball around. So they'll go side to side, move you around all the time. And then,
but a lot of their boys have stepped up to A League. I know that. Yeah. So that's why I was asking. I was wondering how they'd go now.
Yeah. So they won their first 2 games in the league. And as I said, I thought they were really good, to be honest. I thought we defended really well. Like, we were very compact and just made it difficult for them to break us down. But they were good. I was impressed by them.
Okay.
Who else? MacArthur Rams, SD Raiders won again. That's 3 wins in 3, same as Northern Tigers. They beat MacArthur Rams 1-0. Noah Chianese scored again. Rowdomere beat Hakoah 5-1.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's Abbas.
Yeah.
That's right. They started okay, right? I
think that's
I think
first
they've
one
lost
of the season.
They've lost a couple.
That's I mean, they started shite, didn't they?
It's good guess, but
I think
I think they lost their first two.
They've been poor the last couple of years. They were obviously good for a few years, and then dropped off.
They drew their first game against Spartans.
Yeah.
Lost in week 2, and then they beat Hakoah 5-1, which is a big one.
That's a bad. I mean, obviously good score for Riding, but Hakoah were good last year.
Yeah, they were.
It's a terrible score,
Finished
that,
third last year.
They got a good coach, Abbas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. He's been around.
quality.
He's been about, hasn't he?
He's
been a few
quality.
clubs.
Is he?
Oh, lovely guy.
Did you see that? This is an interesting take. You might have seen on social media. There's a video Rowdomere posted Abbas doing just coaching, right? So I know, but so it was swearing. I seen the comments, right? There was a lot of negative comments. But I'm like, see if you just remove the swear words, everything he was saying was absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, for me, I was like, Rowdomere stitched him up a wee bit there by sticking it up when he's been swearing, but what coach do you know who doesn't swear?
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm like, saying someone's like, this is what's wrong with Australian football. I'm like, well, all you're listening to is a coach swearing. I'm like, you take out all those swear words in the context where he's saying he's wanting more intensity for one of his players. There's not enough players at training. He's saying, I need more players here if you're serious about football. I'm like, he's saying everything that's fucking right.
Imagine 20 years ago. 25 when we're all coming through. Some of the words that come out of our
I think they get launched in the changing room, and
even if I sent them to my parents, I would be like, deal with it.
Deal with it.
It was different.
Now,
it was a different culture.
It's straight on the internet. Write an email to the club. This coach is the
it's bad.
we
now
put
it's a
up
lot
with
of keyboard warriors and all that around. But back then, it didn't matter whatever the coach said to you. You just used to take it on the chin
100%.
and move on. And there was a reason why he was telling you this.
Yeah.
It's not because he doesn't like you, because he expects something from you and he wants you to do something. And if you're not doing it, he's going to let you know about it.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's it. And that's how we were brought up too.
And you have to. If you want to get better, you have to be told.
Standards.
If you're doing something wrong, in this age, you can't say what we used to cop.
Yeah.
But sometimes I think this generation, the message doesn't get through.
Yeah,
they just whatever. Where before, if our coach used to go off at us, I used to shit my pants and go, all right, whatever he wants, I'm going to do whatever he asked for.
100%, I agree.
So it's
a hard one.
It is.
I think the hardest thing, you lads are obviously coaching now, but how you address players is like, you still get some lads in the changing room who can take it.
Yeah.
But you need to be very careful now on how you approach certain situations. But it's fucking hard, man. It's so hard because I could say one thing to you and one thing to you, and it's taking completely different. And you can say that's the art of coaching, but it's very much generational. Like it's just
100%.
It's a tough place too, because if you're not like me coaching, I've been from like the old school, and now I've kind of played with the younger guys. So I've seen the two.
Good perspective, aye.
So I look at it now, a lot of the players now, it's kind of like, hey, you're a good player. You've got to be so nice to them. Because when you, as he said, you yell at them.
They're gone, man.
I've lost them.
Yeah, they're gone.
They're so upset. Yeah. Like I actually went up to a player and had to tell him, hey, I believe in you. I think you could be a great player. I don't think you believe in yourself. And if he watches this, he's going to know who he is. So now he's
I know exactly who it is.
So now he's actually finally
getting it,
taking on what I'm trying to teach him.
Yeah.
He plays in a similar position that I used to play in. So I told him, I can help you. You just got to listen and you believe in what I'm trying to teach you.
Yeah.
And his game, like from last season, he's here. It's so different. But you've got to put your arm around them. Give them a chance, a second, a third. Before, mate, we used to get no chance.
One chance.
Listen, see you later.
One chance. That's all you had.
But the problem is now as well, it takes a long time.
15 minutes, you're off.
100%.
It takes a long time to have that conversation. Yeah. Whereas before you could just say, hey, that's not good enough, do this, finish.
That's it.
I used to get, I remember my gaffer, when I was back home, used to go, Gary! I look at him, he just stare at me for like 5 seconds. I'm like,
and you knew.
I'm definitely not doing that.
You knew.
Back on to NPL 2, Bulls Academy with their first win of the season. They beat Bankstown City 2-1. It's a big result for them.
Big result,
a little shout out to Sammy Boschnack, who suffered quite a serious leg injury in the game. He's going to be out for a while.
What was the injury? Do you know?
Don't know.
No.
Dulwich Hill beat Spartans 1-0.
I think it was a cracker.
A screamer.
Aye, absolute screamer.
It was a screamer. He posted it on his Instagram straight after.
I seen it.
That was a great goal.
Perko was at the game, he's seen it as an absolute belter.
That's a bit of a shock.
But I think Spartans have been pretty poor.
Yeah, they've not started well. No 1 point from their first 3 games.
Not great.
Yeah, but I think that they've been what we spoke about earlier in terms of chances. Like they're creating lots
Very wasteful.
and not putting things.
What's your man called up front, centre forward again? Used to play for Apia.
Eden Cara?
Yeah, he's usually no bad, is he not?
Yeah, he's a good player. He's just not having the luck of the green, I suppose, just now at Champs.
It
Last game was Bonnyrigg played Mounties, won 4-0.
Bonnyrigg?
Aye.
They've started quite well.
They have started quite well. Sebastian Caricedo scored and Aaron Peterson scored twice for them. Mounties yet to pick up a point. And now we'll jump on to NPL 3. We'll start with Prospect. They lost 2-1 at home to South Coast Flame.
Who impresses you out in NPL 3 so far?
It's a tough one, but like last year, South Coast Wolves were good.
Yeah.
And obviously missed out on promotion. I think they're going for it again. It's a tough one to say because a team that, lost 7-1, the next week wins 6-3. That's a very hard one to say who's. It's a tough league. Like the league is tough. Yeah, there's a lot of players that could be playing NPL 1. Like we got a player in our team.
Yeah.
He could play 2 or 3 of them that could probably play NPL 1.
Yeah. Oh, even Jordi Gomez is playing. Obviously, would be promoted.
Gomez, mate, Marco Sama, easy player. NPL 1.
Yeah.
Very easy.
Yeah.
But he's got a business. He's happy. He loves Para.
Loves us.
Yeah.
He loves being there.
Oh,
he's our
that's half the
captain.
battle, mate.
That's what we want. That's the kind of environment that we try to create there. Is that brotherhood, like a family.
Yeah.
That's why there's they'll take pay cuts to stay with you.
Yeah, I've got
because they're happy.
It's the last chunk of your life, mate. You're traveling, you're working all
want to
day.
enjoy it.
Exactly. Like, I've got fucking train tonight. It's like, brilliant, going to train tonight.
Yeah. I work well with them. Like I know how I feel after the game, so I kind of say, okay, maybe like yesterday's training. Marco, we got into small sided games. I just told him, mate,
go get a massage.
Go see the physio. Go get a massage. Because I'm there, I feel their pain.
Yeah, of course.
Like I know it's different.
Especially the older boys, you got to look after them.
Yeah, of course,
you have to, because you want them to be right for the game.
Yeah,
they know their body.
Aye.
So some of the older boys, we sort of tend to let them do.
You need to, mate.
Yeah.
But Thursday they're in. Thursday's training session, they're in all the way. They're not. But Tuesday it's more on them.
You have conversation.
How do you feel?
How's
this, that. We don't want him to go and injure himself. So you do what you can, and then be right for Thursday.
The players appreciate that. Like they know, especially as you're older, comes with more responsibility. You've usually got a family. You've got a lot of things going on. It's like
100%.
I'm here.
Yeah.
That's a big commitment already. Like,
that's right.
Don't make me do this mad extra stuff you're asking everyone else to do.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, like even last season towards the back end, there was a game we played again. It was like the boys were fresh after it. So I was going to put like more of a recovery session in terms of like soccer, tennis, like keep it fun. It was back in the season when I played. So I told like the older boys, hey boys, look, it's optional. I know you have to travel an hour to get here. So maybe
give them
you can have the night off, do something at home, like, Mate, they all came.
Yeah.
So, like, bro,
it's the escape as well. Sometimes it's a release in it.
Yeah. So
good.
We've got a good bunch of boys there.
That's good, mate.
The shock of the weekend, well, actually for me, is Fraser Park beat Central Coast United 3-1.
Oh, no way.
And I say it's a shock because Fraser Park hadn't started particularly well. But to go up to the Central Coast and get a results.
And we got Central Coast.
That's good for us.
Yeah.
Nah,
we've
got really.
We've got a chance. Back. Nah.
You're up there as well, aren't you? On Saturday?
Yeah.
They're similar to Parramatta in terms of like Fraser Park, big club as such. Probably shouldn't. You'd like to think it should be an NPL 3.
It doesn't deserve
an NPL 3.
Like I see, well, we played our juniors at Para.
All our
the best
juniors.
team in the NPL 1 back in the day.
When we first got here, I remember my mate played in Victoria and they drew Parramatta in the Shiva Cup, and I went to watch it. And I'd only just got here, so I didn't really know the teams in it, and it was fucking rammed. I was like, this is mad. This Parramatta must be a massive club.
Yeah.
And just slowly but surely they started chipping
away. Back in the days when we were in the NSL, 6,000-7,000 in that stadium felt like 30,000, 40,000 people.
It was built,
because it was so close and it was all hills and like you could come right to the fence. You could not see a dot of grass around the pitch.
Brilliant, that.
And
let's turn it around.
That's when we were growing up. I always say, like when we had the trials for the teams, so you have the open trials, we used to have 600 kids turn up for one team.
Wow.
Mate, it was carnage.
600.
Fuck that.
So imagine
when
that.
we came in, we couldn't even get 200 for the whole club.
Do you know what I mean? So that's the history of the club. That's how strong it was.
Yeah.
And it's produced so many Socceroos.
What happened though? So what was
So
the
the club went bankrupt.
right? Okay.
A lot of them.
After the NSL.
Yeah.
And then they went to the NPL, and then it just financially wasn't sustainable anymore.
Couldn't afford to
it
run
kind
it.
of went down. Then the association, Granville Association, took over.
No, PCYC first.
Yeah, but I'm saying now.
Yeah.
They've taken over. They've got myself, my brother Ahmed, my cousin Boris, Steve. They got a lot of our community on board to take the club going forward. So we came in. I was head of football last season. Our NPL Youth League got promoted, which was great.
Yeah,
like we turned the season around. I think we finished 11th the year before in club championship. We finished second and got promoted. So
on equal points.
Yeah, but a lot of the kids really believe. So now, like I speak to some of the parents, they're like, mate, when I was young and we used to have to play Melita, we used to be like, oh, because they knew what Parramatta Melita was. Right. It was a big club. To see it go down to where it is now, well, to be honest, now it's in a better place.
Much better place.
But we're just trying to take it back to, as what you said,
the glory
back
days.
To the glory days.
Good.
Our goal is NPL 1 for our youth, for our first grade. But it won't happen without the support. We need the support of the community. We need people to come and help us because, we start when we came in, we were down here. So now we're in a good place, but we can be in a better place, which I think we'll get it there.
We're changing a lot of. We're changing the what's the word?
I don't know, mate.
We're trying to change the culture.
Yeah.
Trying to make it a winning culture because in the past years they weren't doing well. So now we're trying to build that winning mentality, that winning culture, that brotherhood type of community club where anyone's welcome to our club, with no matter what race.
So what are you doing? What is the step? You've been there for 2 years? Is that
So
right?
this is our second season.
So what was like a couple of steps you've took to get that sort of culture?
So first thing we did when we was like I had a lot of meetings with a lot of the younger boys.
Yep.
And I said to them, we're going to get promoted. I got this from Popovic. So Popovic, when he first started at Wanderers, he came in and he really instilled in us, we're going to win the league. We're going to come first. We're going to outrun every team. We're going to outwork every team. We're going to win the league. And if you don't believe it, there's a door. So when we kind of came in, we said to the boys, we're going to get promoted because we're the best team in the NPL 3. Like we really pushed that message into the boys.
Yeah, of course.
What happened, 6, 7 rounds in, the boys started seeing, second, third, like in the round. We brought them in. We said, do you believe where we're coming from? Really instilled in them, this is what we're going to be at the top. You can do it. Then bang, 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 bang. Towards the back end, we had a TD named Amin, who's at Mariners now, who was very passionate, loved the game. And then he had us around him supporting him. We helped the coaches, we helped the players. So we were there, 4 or 5 of us doing a 20-man job, trying to
keep them
make
motivated.
these kids believe that they're going to be the best. And then we got towards the end and the boys were like, we can. And then our message doesn't change now. We're like, we're the best team.
Yeah.
We're going to win. But it's not just going to come. You've got to work hard for it.
Yeah, of course.
Like, at training, we'll watch. I watch from afar and I observe and I'll see kids. Coach turns his back that way. I'll see him. I come up and be like, oi, what are you doing? And they shit it, So we're really trying to push you got to work hard. You've got to earn being the best. It doesn't just come. Like you can't just rock up and do your 2-3 nights a week and think it's all going to just, no. You've got to fight. You've got to be together. You've got to be a team. Sometimes things aren't going to be great. You're going to win every game. But one message I really push with a lot of kids is we're all going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Mate, World Cup final, guy makes a mistake, misses a pen or whatever it is, misses a tackle, doesn't track his man, and you lose a World Cup.
Yep.
So, mate, in the NPL 2, if you make a mistake, who cares? No one's going to remember it. But you've got to react. You lose the ball, run, get back. And it's not just the guy that made the mistake, it's the guy next to him. Yeah, he's made the mistake. Don't yell at him and abuse him and put him down. No, go run and help him. So we're really trying to push that into our culture.
And we know that we're doing the right thing because when you got younger players like from the 13s, 14s, 15s, when NPL 1 clubs are trying to poach them, and they're saying to them, no, we don't want to go because we're happy here.
Yeah,
we think we'll develop better under us. So that's for us is a positive because the players want to be here.
Yeah, it's
and they believe in what we're doing. So, we just keep working hard, keep plugging away, and we'll see what happens this year.
Brilliant.
So we're going to finish the NPL 3 talk, or
we just end up going on little tangents, man. We need to actually go back because Granville Ray scored another 7 goals. So that's what they've scored.
Did Tomic score?
No. He came off the
bench. Did he play? Yeah, I was going to say he didn't play
against
us.
Amir Kadric scored 2. Timothy Bog-Williams scored a hat-trick. Anthony Gallo and Will Lee Harvey all scored. But that's 13 goals in 2 games.
Yeah, man.
What was the game last week?
They beat Parramatta 6-3.
They beat us.
Oh, that's in your top bit.
6-3.
Yeah. It's a mental game, that.
Right.
We should have been 2-0 up first 8 minutes. But we missed 2 sitters.
But again, that's they lose 7 and no.
Yeah.
So as you asked me before, they lose surprising. I don't know.
Yeah, because South Coast Lanes beat Granville 7-1 in the first round.
Yeah.
Yes.
So who's top of NPL 3 right now?
Bankstown United and South Coast.
How did they go at the weekend?
They won 5-1. They beat Camden 5-1.
Score?
Mitch scored again, yeah. So
what's the...
What are we coming?
It's
too early.
Bankstown and Nepean are joint first on 7 points.
Yeah.
But we're 6. Yous are joint third. Like 6, but joint third on 6 points.
That's it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the table now, mate.
No
one's ever won around 3.
Nah.
Oh,
Spirit have won the league.
It's a long season. 30 games.
Yeah, it's long.
30 games.
Gleesville Ride Magic beat Hurstville 3-1. It's another shock. Obviously, yourselves beat Sydney Uni 3-0. Just play well?
Yeah, we did. We probably could have finished that game in the first half, but we like to make it hard and we left it real late to score the second.
Oh, yeah, 79 minutes and 89 minutes.
I said to the boy, we could have been none.
Could have been first half. If we put away our chances, we would have been
about taking your chances.
Yeah. Who's the players to look out for at Parramatta?
Who's a player to look out for?
Players, who's the ones that stand out?
Tarek Ahmad
Elrich. No, we got some quality. We got Gomez, who's quality. We got Bazanik's brother, who's...
Is Boys and Jordy both centre midfield?
Yeah.
Aye.
Marco Sama's been immense for us for the last few years. He just holds the ball up well and gets us going forward. But then we got heaps of good young boys, like Navid, who's the right back, who's, he was at the Wanderers, he was at MacArthur Bulls.
Yeah, he scored at the weekend.
He scored, off a corner, done a little mazy, but he's a good player who likes to dribble and stuff. And I've given him the license. When you're in the final third, do all the dribbling you want. But please, just...
Take it easy, mate.
And we've got a lot of good young players. Yusuf Aiden, who's a striker winger who's come on and scored in 2 of the games for me. So he's a player we were talking about before. Had a growth spurt, body fell apart a little bit, but right now is where he's actually got his body right.
Yeah.
Strong, sent him away. Powerful. We got him into the gym, doing a lot of ISO holds, get his hammies, quads, get that all strong again, and then now we've really been pushing him and he's been rewarded with some goals. So we've got a lot of young, good players. So hopefully they can play their role and help us out.
Good. Camden Tigers, they lost 5-1.
It feels like this is a lot of results, man.
Bankstown United and Nepean drew 1 each winner, West Hawks.
There you go. NPL 1, NPL 2, NPL 3.
I don't know how it works, mate.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah,
we beat them.
You played in a West Hawks 1-0.
Could have been 5.
Could have,
yeah. Standard.
So that's us wrapped up on the NPL football.
Yep. So just quick mention to Lightweight Athletic, who sponsor the podcast. Jump online www.lightweightathletic.com. You get 15% discount on all their premium clothing wear. Just use the link at the bottom of the video below, and if you're on Spotify or Apple, just look at the link in the description. And also, quick mention to anyone involved in youth football or working with academies, you've got a child or whatever, Chaz and I have created a free resource for all youth football players in Australia, or if you've got a player worldwide. One big issue we found with youth football, is clubs don't have the resources for goalkeeping coaching and strength and conditioning, not because they don't want it, but often just don't have the financial capabilities. So Chaz and I have provided a free resource online for all parents, coaches, academies, whoever. There's no technical stuff in there. We're not going to step on anyone's toes there, but if you want a 10-week programme for Nutrition, recovery, very basic performance habits at the foundational level. Some at-home things you can do for speed, strength, basic things for mobility. And then for the goalkeepers, there's a full 10-week program in there you can do. So if you want to get that, just click the link below. It's called the Youth Football Performance Passport. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us a message on Instagram, but you can get that completely free, no strings attached. We'll put a link in the description below. Okay, Chaz.
Your lives, gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
This is your life. This is where you shine.
This is where I live.
So, looking at your obviously footballing careers, like, we'll start with you, Ahmed. Where did you tell us about your upbringing? Obviously, you said you were at Parramatta when you were young.
Yeah.
What was before Parramatta?
So obviously we grew up in Auburn.
Yeah.
When we were born, so we grew up there. My first club was Bass Hill.
Mine was Parramatta.
I had
Eagles.
Bass Hill, so we were young. I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
I played one season at Bass Hill, and then from Bass Hill went to Auburn District, which we're affiliated with now. Played there, and then from the age of I think 8, went to Parramatta FC, so Melita, the old Melita, and then that was like what they have a SAP program now.
Yeah.
So that was like the feeder club for the youth. Played there. We had many successful years there. And then from there, went through the youth system all the way through, made my debut at 16 in first grade. And then from there, went to Lebanon with Abbas.
Yeah. And
then I got back. Abbas was training with Parramatta Power and said to Dave Mitchell, I think you should have a look at this kid. I went and trained with them for a week and then was offered a contract there, scholarship. And then 3 games in, made my debut for the first team.
Brilliant, man.
So I was there for 5 years. Then 5 years after that, the NSL finished, went to the Olympics. Then was signed by a Korean club, Busan Icon.
Yes, I saw that, yeah.
So I went there. There was a few issues there with my contract. Came back home.
How long were you in Korea for?
6 months.
How was it?
That was good.
Aye.
Mate, the facilities were world class.
You speak much Korean?
No. Luckily, we had an English coach.
Yeah. Oh, did you? Aye, that's a touch.
Yeah, so we had an English coach and, but the facilities were great. You know, they're really technical players, really good players. It's a strong league. Obviously the contractual issues there. Ended up leaving, came back home, and then didn't play for 6 months. And at the time,
why not?
Because I was having a contract dispute.
So you couldn't play. So you're still on the contract.
There was meant to be a clause in my contract, and the agent said, "Yeah, it's in there." And then obviously, me not knowing how it worked, trusted the agent and signed the contract. Then there was no sell-on clause.
Because he was going to the Olympics, he wanted to.
No, I went to the Olympics already.
Yeah,
but it was only a stepping stone. So I knew I did well in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Scored a couple of goals, had an assist. It was really, really great tournament for myself personally. So I knew there was a lot of clubs there interested. So at the time, I signed before the Olympics. So straight after the Olympics, I flew straight to Korea.
Oh, okay.
And then started there. Clubs were coming in and then was like, no, you don't have a sell-on clause.
Oh, for fuck. You're stuck.
So I got stitched up. So I said, okay, no problem. Then the club knew I was pissed off. And then we had a 2-week break and they said, look, do you want to fly back home to Sydney, see your family? I said, yeah, no problem. Booked me a flight. Took all my stuff and
didn't go back.
Never went back. 6 months. Was just doing a bit of gym work and stuff like that. Like really thinking like, how can people do this to someone? You know, anyway, then.
And the problem was a few people from Australian football were kind of bagging him.
Yeah, hammering me.
Didn't understand
for leaving.
For leaving.
But they didn't know the context though.
No, they didn't know what had happened.
That's the thing.
So then it was funny because then Tony Rallis, who was a good family friend of ours.
He was my agent.
He was doing stuff
Sydney
with
Olympic.
Gaz. He came in, took over the negotiations. Then the club started offering me double my wages to come back. We'll give you an extension of your contract, double the wages. And then Tony Rallis is pretty fiery. He just crossed out the numbers, sent it through to the people that were giving it to me saying, well, if he's done the wrong thing, why they were rewarding him with an extension and double his wages.
Yeah.
So it was like, a fuck you moment to them people. And then Frank Farina got in touch, and there was a international against Iraq in Australia, and I'd already made my debut for the Socceroos at the time, and he said, look, you're going to go train with Graham Arnold one-on-one. He's going to get you fit. And trained with him for about 2-3 weeks.
How was that?
You even trained at Sydney Olympic with me.
Did I?
Yeah.
Can't remember. But I remember Arnie was just running me.
Oh, was he?
Oh, it was tough, 6 months you haven't played. And then, I remember getting called up for the Socceroos. It was like, I haven't played in 6 months. They must really believe in me. So I remember coming on, my first touch.
Who'd you play against?
Iraq.
Oh, it was a Iraq game. Yeah. Okay, yep.
My first touch, I remember Iraq was playing a high line, and I just got on. Then I seen Skoko with a half turn, and I just made this run, and he just made the pearl of a ball straight through, and took a touch, bang, bottom corner, we won the game.
So you basically have not been playing, had a short 2 to 3 week mini pre-season sort of thing, went to Socceroos and scored against Iraq.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
That was brilliant, man.
So, so you can imagine the emotion for me.
Football changes so quick,
you sort of not knowing what's going to happen, and then all of a sudden you get this lifeline, so to speak, where someone actually believes in you and says, you know what, come and do a job for me, and you go out there, you score a goal, you win the game, and you're back on cloud 9, and then from there,
kicked on,
bang,
Fulham came in.
Fulham came in, and what an experience! They flew me out.
So how did it come about? Did you get a phone call or something?
They had seen me in the
got
Olympics.
Yeah, okay.
So they were tracking. They had watched me play, and obviously clubs were tracking me. So first I went to Birmingham with Stan Lazaridis.
Right, okay.
When he was there with Steve Bruce.
Yeah.
Trained there with them.
So was that just a trial? Just sort of,
just train and have a look, and they were really keen, really interested, but the Korean club was just asking for too much money.
Oh,
and at the time they didn't have that much money to spend.
Yeah.
So then that fell through, and then came back to Australia. Then Fulham got in touch with Tony.
But where were you when you found out like Tony phoned you and he's like, by the way, Fulham, won't you?
So Ahmed was hating the game, as he said.
Yeah.
So my dad, when Tony Rallis told me, hey, I think I could help your brother, told him, he goes, bro, every agent can help me. Fuck off, I don't want to deal with him. I said, okay. Yeah. So then Dad started speaking to Rallis, and back then it was fax. There was no WhatsApp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So my dad was up at 3 a.m. sending a fax and receiving a fax and all this, and the phone goes off when the fax comes through. I'll be asleep, and my room is right next to the fax machine. And it starts ringing in the middle of the night. So anyway, Tony Rallis sends through the contract that they want him, and pending a medical. So Ahmed's all like, all right, whatever, I'll go. But then Tony Rallis, from the feed that he got, he ended up giving my dad half of it.
All right, okay.
So that just showed us the sort of person he was.
Yeah.
And that's why we had that close relationship with him, because it wasn't about money for him.
That was his first deal.
Was it?
That was his first
big deal.
Deal overseas. Was to the Premier League.
Not a bad start, is it?
Yeah, so,
He gave Dad half of that. Ahmed ended up in Fulham.
Yeah, I remember the phone call because I trained with him for a week. Chris Coleman called me into his office, sat down. He goes, look, I like you, and we're going to do everything we can to try and sign you. So no problem.
Just Cleveland Cottage.
Yeah, at the office. No, it was at Multiple Park.
Oh, Park. Yeah, okay, yeah.
And then he said, look, we're going to do everything we can to make this happen. I said, I appreciated it. Everything you've done for me. And mind you, the boys were brilliant when I came. Like all these stars, like you're looking at Boel Morte, Brian McBride, Thomas Radzinski, Baba Diop.
Thomas Radzinski, man, I forgot about that.
Gomez.
Uh-huh.
All these, Anderson. You had all these players that you're like, wow, man, these guys are... Proper. You had to pinch yourself, coming from no football for 6 months, and then the club telling you they want to sign you, and you're playing with these well-known players.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget it. Then I went and stayed with Korea because we had a Confederations Cup coming up so it was a pre-thing for the World Cup. So I stayed with Anthony Correa, and I remember we were training together, going to the gym and whatnot. So I was staying with him for a week, going back to Australia. And then I remember driving. We just left the restaurant, and I was driving in the car, and I get a phone call saying the deal's been done.
Oh, fuck.
They've accepted the fee.
Oh, my God.
And that was a moment I'll never forget. And Korea could, confirm it. We're in the car, and he's hugging me. Then I rang my parents, and they were crying and happy. So
half his contract went from the phone calls back, because back then there was no international roaming.
I used Anthony Korea's phone anyway.
He's still paying that.
He's still paying it off. No, it was to come from no football, you ask most people when they get a deal to the Premier League, they've been doing well in another league and then they get a boost. But to go from no football for 6 months straight to the Premier League, I think it's a massive achievement for myself. And I don't maybe looking back, I should have looked at it like it's a massive thing to achieve.
Yeah.
Not many players will go 6 months without football, and especially from Australia, and get a Premier League contract. So looking back, it was quite an achievement. And
that's class, man. And you were at Fulham for 2 years?
2 years.
Yeah.
First season we had Steve Malbronk.
Oh, I remember him.
He was a little gun. So, I was coming off the bench, starting a few games, playing a lot of cup games.
Sorry, interrupt. Where did you start? Your first start, where was it?
My first start was against Liverpool at home.
Class. Who was playing for Liverpool?
Who's marking you?
There was...
I think
Reese.
John Reese.
Yeah. So it was him, and then Harry Q was playing in that game.
Yeah.
You a chat to him?
Sissoko. Mamadou Sissoko.
Hammond, was he there as well? Hammond.
I can't remember.
No, we're going back.
How long do we go?
I think Garcia was there.
We won't talk about the sitter he missed.
Yeah, I should have scored, man.
Oh, really?
You know those moments you have in your life that probably would have changed your life?
This is the debut?
His starting debut.
Starting debut. I
Anfield?
already had made my debut against Birmingham
at
all teams.
Yeah, okay.
Steve Bruce. And I remember after the game when I went to say hello to him, he said, "You're the one that got away."
Oh, did he?
I said, sorry.
It
was a nice moment.
That's nice.
Really nice guy. I should have scored. It was behind me, but I think
in the goal.
I should have buried it.
It was in the goal.
Like if that was one of our players now, I would have said,
would have bashed you.
"You're shit, Mr. Sitter." But you know those moments in your life that would have changed your life. That was it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And unfortunately, it didn't go in, but we still won and had a good time after it. So, that was to go from Australia and then you played in Liverpool.
Oh man, incredible, man. Incredible.
It's crazy. It's crazy, man.
You see your face even smiling.
I know.
Thinking back to it.
Yeah, just the goosebumps and the nerves, like you're starting, man, against Liverpool.
Yeah.
That's I was like, don't fuck this up. Do not fuck this up. Well, I sort of did by missing that goal. But luckily we won 2-0.
How did you play? Did you play well?
Yeah, I did well. I think it was like a 7.
Oh, okay.
It was a lot of defense in the sun.
Yeah, then
there was a lot of defensive work.
Yeah.
Obviously, they dominated possession, but we were just clinical and took our chances and just fought to the end.
But imagine at the time, like you're playing in the English Premier League for Fulham.
Yeah.
World Cup squad gets announced. You're left out of the World Cup squad.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the next part. So imagine
I
read now you played 10 good games in the A-League, possibly go to a World Cup.
Yeah.
Mate, he was playing the English Premier League.
I read that because it was surprising as well because you'd been at a camp.
Yeah, he was.
You'd been at like the
all their
World
camps.
Cup camp.
Yeah.
Everything.
Even the qualifications.
They took 3 players that uncapped.
Do you know why?
In front of him. We'll never know why.
Never know.
Yeah.
I took a pay cut to go to Norway to get match fit.
Yeah.
But they told him to.
They said, you need to get match, as long as you're playing, you'll be fine. And then I went to Norway, took a pay cut, spent 6 weeks there. So I played probably 8 games.
Yeah.
Because we had some midweek games. So I played 8 games in 6 weeks. So
You've got
you're into the fitness side. I think I felt fit.
Oh, after 8 games, mate.
8 games. Played,
100%.
some games 80 minutes. I remember we played. I was at Lynn, Oslo, and my second game, and it was the local derby against Vålerenga.
Vålerenga,
Yeah, so they big, a massive crowd, full stadium. And I remember I set up a goal and scored a goal.
Yeah.
So the fans there loved me straight after that game. But I was only there for a short period of time just to get fit. And then came back thinking, get a phone call saying, oh, you're not going. I said, he goes, oh, yeah, he's going. And then I was like, you've got players from the A-League.
They haven't played.
Aye.
No disrespect to those boys.
Of course,
good luck to them and thing, but like,
it was in the Premier League.
Didn't understand.
Of course not.
Like, I've been involved all this time.
Up to that point, how many games did you play with Fulham at that point? They call
about 12 games.
And how many times had you been capped by this point for Australia?
He'd had 17.
No, I had about 14 at that time. 15, 16. Yeah, 16. 16 caps and 7 goals, I think it was.
Wow. And then just nothing?
Yeah.
It's quite bizarre.
That's football, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
that's rough.
Yeah, and
that would do my head.
That's rough.
I think, and
I'd need to know why.
Yeah, and that's
the problem.
Why,
no one told me why.
Everyone had their own. So anyway, he then goes back to Fulham and does well.
Yeah.
Yeah, pre-season, scored a goal in the pre-season game. Was getting fit, then get called up to Graham Arnold, then called me up.
After the World Cup?
After the World Cup.
He was now
Hugh Sitting had left.
Yeah. Okay.
Graham Arnold.
Asian Cup qualifiers.
Yeah, Graham Arnold was the new coach.
Yeah.
Caretaker.
And then, called me up to come play against, I think it was
Kuwait.
In Kuwait.
Yeah.
You know, I thought, you know what? I'm not going to hold it.
It wasn't an international window.
Yeah.
So he didn't really have to go.
Yeah, okay.
So I thought, you know what? I love playing for my country. It's an honour. Let's go. So I get to Kuwait. We play. First half, ball goes over my head. Far post, I was attacking the far post. The ball goes over my head. As I've stopped, I've hyperextended my knee.
Oh, my God.
So at the time, I thought, fuck, the pain's around my hamstring. Then I got up. It's like the physio came and that. I go, no, it feels all right. So I jogged back on. Where's the goal kick go? Straight to me.
Where to go header?
I've jumped up to go header it. My ACL was already torn.
Oh.
My knee just buckled. And I just dropped. But it wasn't painful.
ACL's funny that way,
It wasn't painful. I felt like a sharp pain in the back of my hand.
You usually walk.
So I got on. I jogged straight. Like I didn't, I should have probably done some side steps or something.
Yeah, to see.
But I thought it was maybe a little twinge of the hammy. And ran on, went for the header. My knee was gone. And then from there, just...
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, missed out the whole season.
Spiraled.
And then done all my rehab in back home.
You're still under contract at Fulham at this point?
Yeah. Still I had 2 years left. So they sent me home to do the operation because we've got some of the best ACL surgeons here. Came back home, done the thing. Chris Coleman gets sacked. I go back, not in the best condition. That's on me. New coach comes in, Laurie Sanchez.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, decides doesn't want 14 of us. Gets his new team, so I get paid out. Come back to Australia. Anyway, so Laurie Sanchez after 7-8 games gets sacked. Yeah, so then come back here. Didn't have.
There was no more passion.
There was no more. It wasn't fun.
Yeah.
So my best years was when I used to love and have fun playing. I strived in that kind of environment. But then when you start to see things that weren't right, sort of takes a toll. And then bit by bit, other things aren't going well. And then you're like, man, I was just here.
No, man.
Now I came. And then I shouldn't have played for Australia.
Yeah.
If I didn't go, what if I didn't? But then that's just life, isn't it?
It's hard, though. You can't live your life.
Who's to say that if you didn't
You
play for
can't.
Australia?
But the what ifs is what later on in life sort of got to me.
It's away,
Yeah, of course.
You know, and came back here. It's never the same. Came back.
Went Wellington?
Yeah.
Went to Wellington. Played there. Was a marquee there. Didn't really enjoy my time there. It was good club, good people, but you know,
from where you were,
it was gone. Like I had wonderful teammates there. Ross Aloisi, you know, we're still very close till now, but it was just never the same.
Yeah,
that drive and that hunger and that the thing that made me become the player that I was just gone.
Yeah, so you were there for a year?
Yeah, 6 months that season.
Yeah.
And then from there went to the Mariners.
Yeah.
You know, Laurie McKenna, who I started with at Parramatta.
Did you move there or did you stay in Sydney?
I stayed in Sydney.
Yeah, okay.
There was about 6-7 of us that lived in Sydney.
Right.
Me, Dylan McAllister, I think.
His son scored.
Yeah, made his debut.
They scored in the Champions League, man.
Freaky, man.
Yeah, brilliant, man. Brilliant. Because we were talking about him the week before. He scored a goal, obviously, in the NPL for the first team. And then the very next week, he's off, plays in the Champions League and scores.
Yeah,
Class, man.
It's good, man. These young boys, as I said before, they're going to get a chance now.
Yeah.
So, we used to drive up. I loved the way the Mariners were. They were like a real community, family-type club.
Yeah.
You know, obviously I had a lot of history with Laurie McKenna, so the transition was easy, sort of, enjoying it. But 3 games in, I think it was, Suncorp Stadium, bang, there goes my right knee.
Oh, man.
No contact, got stuck in the grass. A lot of players have done their ACLs at Suncorp.
Oh, have they?
Yeah.
I remember watching on TV, the ball gets switched to the other side and he's at the bottom of the screen just tucking in. I just see him hold his leg and walk off. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, it was nothing. There was no contact.
Fuck me, man.
Just bang, and it just went.
Did you know straight away? That
I knew.
Yeah.
I knew straight away.
Yeah.
I remember Mark Bosnich was with me that night. You know, I was devastated.
Of course, man.
It just worked my ass to get back. And then bang. The other one's gone. And in my head, I'm thinking, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah. And you know what? That must have been so fucking difficult mentally.
It was.
Like, in terms of the 3 years ago, you're at like the top. Now, 3 years later, you're back in Australia, playing in the A-League, and done both your knees.
Yeah. And back then, it was different. Us, the way we grew up, we never really expressed how we feel.
Of course.
You know, we weren't those type to whinge and, you know, this and that. So everything you just bottle in.
Yeah.
You know, and looking back, maybe I should have spoken to someone.
Seek some help.
Yeah.
But then you say that, it's all right looking back, but the reality is, at that time, no one spoke about these things.
100%.
There was nothing like that.
It was like a pride thing.
100%.
I can't show that I'm weak to my parents
100%.
or I'm suffering maybe mental health. My mental health is not right. And so back then, it was just something that you just kept inside and just you keep going and, you know, that's it. It was it was from there, that's it. It was done. Came back, but that's it. I just knew I was never the same player. And
so obviously in that gap after the second DCL, there was personal problems, obviously away from the pitch. Can you tell us a bit about that? Because I think that there's going to be people that will face hardships in life around football. As you say, they might think that I'm going to be a football player and they might be injured or they might get released by clubs. And to a lot of people, it's like the end of the world. Like that's what you had your mindset on and it's gone. But I think that hearing people's experiences can potentially make others' experiences potentially more positive and not to make similar mistakes.
So obviously,
I think my story would help a lot of kids in that aspect. Being told you're not wanted, you're not good enough, you're not going to make it. That was more me.
Yeah.
Him, he was always not promised anything because who was Ahmad Elrich?
No one is.
16, 17. But then he set the pathway for the rest of us from the area to start believing like,
we can do it.
I could do it now.
Yeah. We're just two kids from Western Sydney that love football.
Yeah.
We spent so many hours together at the park by ourselves. Like now they got this, they got the academies, they got everything. Like there's so many luxuries for the kids where we didn't have that. It was
No, yeah.
Yeah, go in the
Self-made.
backyard.
Yeah.
I was
Go
a
to the
goalkeeper.
park.
I was goalkeeper till I was 13
Yeah.
at
Just
Parramatta Eagles, and it was because of him and my
Kevin
older brother.
just
They
telling
just
you,
wanted me to go and
smashing
goals
the
and
ball at
smack
you.
Smash balls at him.
So like I was a goalkeeper.
So that's why when I say goalkeepers, they're special. he's got it. Yeah, but look, looking back, when everything started to go wrong, it was, as a professional athlete, your adrenaline rush was playing football.
Yeah.
That high that you get, only professional athletes can tell you about. Even players who play NPL 3, when you have a cracker game and you score, they get that feeling.
Yeah.
But imagine getting it at the elite level when you
yeah.
work every single day for it.
Yeah.
And then at the end, what are you doing?
Taken away from you.
You're
Gotta
looking
get
for
on with
that
life.
rush.
Yeah.
So you start mixing with the wrong people, getting involved in things that aren't good for you, and getting caught up in that criminal kind of, I wouldn't say I was underworld. I was just a guy that used to like to go out and have fun and hang around with people that were involved in that world.
Yeah.
And, you start to self-destruct.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And then before you know it, your family can see that you're spiraling out of control, but
You can't.
there's no one there.
Yeah.
But he used to think we weren't.
Yeah, I thought they were wrong. Like,
Nah.
mate, what's wrong with you? I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then, before you know it, you're doing 4 years jail.
Yeah.
And I look back and I go, what have I done?
Yeah, of course.
It took me 2 weeks to get my head around what the fuck's
how
going
did I
on.
get to this
How
point?
the fuck I looked in the mirror, I go, how the fuck did you get to this?
Yeah.
And I just looked at myself and I was like, fuck you. What have you done? What have you done to your family?
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought, well, you're here now.
Go on with it.
What the fuck are you going to do?
Yeah, that's true.
And I was speaking to you earlier saying how football is a lot of routine. You have routine. It's the same inside. It's all about routine. So I focus myself on training. Just training, not getting involved in, politics or dramas. Just go, Ahmed, you fucked up. You do the fucking crime, you do the time.
Yeah.
That's it. I didn't want to get involved in anything. I just wanted to get home to my family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, it opened my eyes, like, who truly loves you. It's only your family, really.
Yeah, 100%.
And
they're the ones that are there for you.
yeah, and don't forget, I met so many good people that have made one mistake in their life. Same as me. I made a mistake. Cop it on the chin. You plead guilty. You do your time, and you just get out and move on.
Yeah.
So for me, it wasn't a place. Yeah, it's a place where it's a place to go to do your time, but it wasn't necessarily, the people in there weren't all
bad people,
hardcore criminals.
Yeah.
There were family people, doctors, all walks of life were there. Rich people, real poor people that have never had luck in their life, and they're just in the system forever. So for me, it was, how do I learn from this?
Yeah.
So I just trained, got along with everyone, done my time, got out, and promised that that's it. Done with it.
Yeah.
I've lived the life of a professional footballer, and I've lived that life in the other side of the world that,
Some contrast, man.
So I know both worlds.
Yeah.
And
you know which one you prefer.
The other world, you're going to end up either jail or dead.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Yeah, it's true.
There's no true friends. It's not the lifestyle that you think it is.
Yeah.
Where you see in the movies. It's not that.
Yeah.
So for me, I know it's really tough times for families in this day and age.
Yeah.
And sometimes kids will stray to the other side because they want money. They want to make money. So if I can stop one or two of those kids and try to tell them, listen, it's not worth it, it's been worth it for me.
Yeah.
I look back, if there's a lot of things in my life I could change, I would. But I was dealt these cards. You move on, live to fight another day, try to tell people, listen, do what you love, learn, go get a good education. If you love football, give it 110% because you only get really one chance at it. So for me, working with kids is a blessing, and I enjoy it and I love it. And it's like a redemption story, you know, giving back to the community, showing people that, if you fall, you can get back up and go again.
You've got a lot to teach, mate, a lot of life experience.
Oh,
there,
yeah. Like there's a lot of stuff that I'm not going to really get into.
Of course,
that I've seen and witnessed and whatnot. But look, it's not a nice place to go to.
Yeah.
Get a good education. If you want a career, work hard at it. Stay away from people like that and just.
And I love that because I think there's so much more that you can give to kids as a coach than just football.
100%.
And that's it. It's always what's the bigger
life,
picture.
Life,
100%.
Life experiences.
Yeah, because you don't know. Like this is the thing. Like you saying that where you were when obviously everything went wrong football wise.
Yeah.
It's like you didn't have someone to help you through, help you navigate. So if you can then be that person for 1, 2, 3 kids,
100%,
like it's massive potentially.
We know what it takes to make it.
Yeah,
my brother and I have been there.
Yeah, of course.
We know what it takes, and I think in a time that was harder.
Harder, yeah, I agree.
Without a shadow of doubt, it was harder. Back in my day, the players were technically better. Like I played with some great technical players.
Yeah,
they were just in the wrong time, wrong era.
Yeah.
If they were playing now, mate,
superstars.
I'm telling you, like really, really good players. Like the young the 2006 generation of the Socceroos.
Yeah.
Everyone was playing in the top leagues of Europe.
Yeah. Sure.
You know what I mean? So that generation, I think, is gone.
Yeah.
Hopefully the new generation
is coming back.
Coming back. But yeah, so for me, it's I actually got.
Before we go into Tarek's story, I just want to quickly mention the story you mentioned to his office because you got a famous football player's jersey during your time in England. Obviously, you've probably got a few, but you want to tell the story of whose jersey you got?
Oh, shit, yeah.
I've got the jersey.
You got the jersey?
It's his jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were playing Man U, and I told Luis Belmonte, who was our captain, who's Portuguese, I just done his heading for 2 weeks. Listen, man, I'm from Australia. Please, you have to get me. We have to get Ronaldo's jersey. He goes, oh yeah, no problem. You know, just brushed it off. So every day, just giving it to him. Boa, remember Ronaldo's jersey? Yeah, Ahmed, 100%, it's yours. The game, Boa, you got to get me. You got to get me the fucking jersey. We got to get it. We play at Old Trafford. I didn't play that game. I didn't go on. And then after the game, went off after full time. Went up with Boa. He's there talking. Introduces me, takes his shirt off, hands it over, and still got it to this day, man.
And what happened? Bit of mud on the jersey?
It was dirty, so I never washed it. So my auntie and my sister came to visit me. So I said to her, I'll take these jerseys and take them back to Australia. Her not knowing, she went and washed it. So, but it still has some stains on it. So,
and now you've got it.
It's in.
So.
I can't tell them where it is. I'll go steal it.
It's not about where it is. It's Ahmed is a very generous guy. Gives away a lot of things.
Yep.
He even gave, I think there's some guy who came from Lebanon for a holiday. Ahmed's never met him. He went and gave him my Newcastle Jets grand final match-worn shirt. The guy's probably cleaning oil on the floor.
I'm a nice guy.
So it's really nice. He likes to give away stuff. Gave away lots of stuff. Stuff that was mine. So I took a lot of, what did I do? I kind of took a lot of stuff and kept it, hid it. So when he's come out of jail and after his spiral downfall, where was that?
I wouldn't call it a downfall.
So he's now seen all the stuff that I've pulled out. And he's like, where'd you get
remember
that from?
Half of them, like,
bro,
that jersey and that jersey.
I said to him, yeah.
Fuck me, there's a whole bag full.
Yeah, they played Turkey. He gave away the Hakan Suko's.
That was to a close friend.
Yeah, but everyone's a close friend to Ahmed, so he gave away everything. So I was like, yeah, what? This guy's going to get rid of everything. So how about I just...
So you protected that a wee bit?
So I protected that. Yeah. Harry Kill's jersey. Like, I kept a few things.
Got all Timmy's jerseys.
But he didn't even know about him. Until every time he comes, he's like, bro, where'd you find that? I'm like, yeah, you would have given it away. He gave away so much shit. And we're not just talking jerseys, boots, like jewelry.
Oh, really?
Like he was in a place where he was very giving.
You know what?
And that's where he realised
no one can ever say I was a tight ass. Ever. Trust me. That's one thing. that for me, I don't like tight asses anyway in general. But one thing about me is know that I was generous.
Yeah.
And if you ask me for the shirt on my back, I'd give it to you. No problem.
But that's
Fair play, mate.
where he realised who cares for him.
That's right. And back then, like, if I could get all the stuff back, I would. Probably 90% of them don't deserve it. But anyway.
It's happened.
It's happened, and we move on, and I'm happy with my life where it is at the moment. And, I've got a beautiful young family. I've got a young son who's hopefully going to be...
How old's your son?
He's 6.
6. Playing football?
Yeah. Following. His name's H.E.
H.E.?
Yeah, mate.
I thought...
Look, you know what? For me, there's no pressure. If he wants it and loves it...
He either makes it or makes it.
Yeah.
That's right. No, but, no pressure. There's no pressure.
That's funny. Then you actually made a return, obviously, you played for Auburn for a year?
Yeah.
Local? And then
when I came out, I played for Auburn.
And then
we won the grand final and then went to Rotherham because they wanted to get promoted.
And you actually played a game for Dunbar Rovers and you scored a free kick.
Yeah,
Top
I remember
corner.
fucking there was one English lad was just talking shit.
Doddy, it was Doddy.
No, it wasn't him.
Was it Doddy? No?
Some short.
Andrew Doddy.
Andrew Doddy.
Yeah, he was just talking shit.
It was him.
Like, fucking hell. I go, where, fuck, I go, you're English. You're fucking 20-something years old. You're fucking playing in NPL 3. You're like, what the fuck are you doing? You're talking shit. Anyway, from there, just kept talking. I think he scored.
I think it was 3-2 when you scored a free kick, but you scored the winner.
Yeah, I scored the winner and everyone gave it
Ahmed Talib, who was 16 at the time, he made his debut and he scored that game. Everyone was buzzing. He equalised. Then you were at the part and scored 3-2. I'm like,
yeah.
And
so then we got promoted that year, man. It was, you know what?
Was Ali McKee there that year?
Yeah. Ali was there. Yeah, Ali was young.
Yeah.
He was really young then. I remember, man, that made me really love the game again.
Brilliant.
Because, to get promoted back then, you're 18s.
Yeah, club championship.
Yeah, 18s, 20s, and first grade. All the points added up. So it was hard.
Yeah.
It was much harder than what it is now.
Yeah.
I remember, man, we were just grinding, and I remember Fraser Park had spent ridiculous money.
I remember that year.
And we were 10 men down at their home ground.
Was that not Kalina?
Kalina was
yeah, and Jason.
Yeah.
And then I remember we beat them. We beat them, I think, 2-1 with 10 men for 70 minutes.
Yeah.
And that game was the most important game of the year because we were equal on points. Fraser Park and Rotherham. And then we went ahead by a goal difference.
Brilliant.
And I'll never forget Peter Basher's and Simon Leahy's reaction, man. Like he was, he said, that's it. You've made my life is complete, pretty much. Because that was the aim to get to NPL 2.
Good people at Rotherham.
Yeah.
Very good
lovely people, man. Yeah. Shout out to Simon and Peter Basher.
Yeah.
They're really, really good people, man. They really care about the club.
Yeah, they do.
And it's gone leaps and bounds from when I was there.
Yeah.
In terms of facilities and everything else. But no, great memories.
Brilliant. Tarek?
Mine's boring compared to his. I didn't get up to too much. But if there's anything in our two careers, he had heaps of, in terms of personal stuff and what he got himself into, being left out of the World Cup squad, all that stuff. Where mine was kind of, went to an A-League club, season 1, Newcastle Jets. Back then, there was no reserve grade, nothing.
Sorry, with the AIS first?
No, so I never went AIS. They've got it down that I was at AIS.
Yeah, okay.
So I started at Parramatta Eagles from 3-4 years old. But I was always a good listener.
Yeah, okay.
Because I remember the coach used to say to me, stand there, don't move.
Oh, bro, that was the highlight of my life, just going to watch him play. Everyone used to go to watch him play. Like I'm talking all that. We've got a big family,
Yeah.
The Elrich family is a big family. Saturday mornings, you'd never get anyone to the game at 8 o'clock in the morning. But all the cousins had to witness this with their own eyes.
My coach said to me, stand there and don't move.
Yeah.
And during the game?
No, just stand there.
Yeah, stand there. Don't move.
Positioning. When you have positions, the coach will say, okay, you stand there.
Okay.
And don't move, like in terms of don't chase the ball.
And he
the
took
ball
it
was
little.
about a metre away. I was like, fuck. And they're like, kick the ball.
Everyone
I'm like,
screaming.
what? My coach said no move.
And guess what? The ball will come next to him. He'll just step away from it. And he'd come he'll come after the game. Everyone, because back then it was white and red.
And that was when you were like 21 years old?
White and red. So the whole kit was white. Everyone's got mud and everything. He came
Pristine.
out absolute. Like, my mum was wrapped because she didn't have to wash his clothes.
He was a grub.
Yeah, I was.
He'd come back with all the mud and
Yeah, but we'd play a game
lose
and then
his
spend
socks.
another 4 hours after the game playing
Okay.
amongst ourselves with our cousins.
so that was me. I played for Para Juniors, so then I went goalkeeper because then my coach said, stand there, stop every ball.
Yeah,
I
so
did.
it was easy.
So I went goalkeeper, went to the NPL.
Yep.
We had cadet league back then. Played the 11s, 12s at Melita. Under 13s was the NPL Youth League. Went, signed as a goalkeeper. We had a coach, Portuguese guy named Hernani. Didn't really know me, but I'd already signed as a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So we were at the trials, and it was the boys that had signed were now running towards me to score, and the boys that were trialling, I was the goalkeeper for them. Ball over the top, and we had Jason Brown, Daniel McDonald, like some good players back in our days. And I just like calmly just threw ball come through. I took him on and passed the ball. My coach was like, so he come around and he's like, hey, can you play on the field? I said, yeah. Like, I play school soccer in the backyard with my brothers.
Yeah.
He goes, look, put the bib on and just have a run. Went out and killed it. So he went up to my father after and he was like, Mr. Elrich, not saying your son's a top goalkeeper, but I think he's a field player. Can I try him on the field? My dad said, I don't care. Why are you asking me? Ask him.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, I'll play. Played, and then he went to Sydney Olympic the year after. Took me to Sydney Olympic. So I was 14 on a scholarship, and then he was the reserve grade coach in the old NSL, NYL. Then he took me pretty much from 15s. I played 18s and went to reserve grade. And then I was playing first grade at 16. So it all happened in 2 years.
Oh, wow.
From being a goalkeeper, that's
From a
wild,
goalkeeper, didn't do the extra training was what we did in the backyard.
That was a lot. We did a lot.
We did.
Honestly, we
was
did
just-
so much. Like, when looking back now as kids, man, we've done 3 or 4 hours a
compared
day.
to what you
Oh,
said.
easy. Even me growing up,
I'm
obviously,
telling you,
didn't-
3
That's
or
all
4
you did,
hours.
though.
We used to
Like,
drop our
there's nothing
bags,
else.
drop our bags at home, get changed,
No iPad,
go to
no
the park.
PlayStation.
Yeah.
We had a brick wall at Mona Park. It's a double brick wall where they used to play tennis on one side.
Yeah.
Had some asphalt and had grass on the other side. So it was like a goal.
Yeah, of
Same
course.
size as a goal. And we just smack balls. And if you missed the target, you had to sprint after your ball because we had
Yeah.
only one ball.
Yeah. Not like now.
And as
Like
it's
a
getting
5
dark, my mum would say, when it
the
starts
light
to get
comes on.
dark,
Aye.
you start walking home.
Yeah.
And 5 o'clock, 5:30, we're at home, dinner. That's it. That was our life.
Then
Yeah.
we go play in the hallway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
play soccer in the hallway with
Brilliant.
Exact same,
with
man.
a rubber
Brilliant.
ball.
It was
Right.
brilliant, man.
Good old days.
It was the
But
best.
it's, now it's how do you get your kid out?
100%.
Yeah.
There's a lot of distractions.
So much distractions for them.
We always say, oh, I wish my kid can, but mate, it's not like that anymore.
Yeah.
Get with the times. Like some people like, I won't let my son use an iPad. It's like, okay, but then your son when he gets to school, he's not going to be able
it's
to.
done.
When
Yeah.
the iPad teacher brings out the iPad, he's going to be like,
What's
what the
this?
hell's that?
Yeah.
Aye.
100%.
You got to, it's all about balance,
Yeah, I agree.
And then it's what the parent does. You've got to physically take them to the park now.
I know. Aye.
God knows what happened to us when we were young.
No.
Oh, mate, you hear stories, Me now, I wouldn't let my kids go to the park by themselves. But my parents just let us go.
I mean,
ride bikes.
exactly.
and come
I'd
back.
go and come back when the street lights come on. That was it. That was the
That's
rule.
it.
Come
That
back
was
when
the
the
rule.
lights come
But
on. Aye.
now it's like, because there's social media, because there's all these things, now you hear stories.
Yeah,
This
100%.
guy got molested, this kid got kidnapped,
This guy got
happened,
stabbed.
this guy
Aye.
died, this guy. So now you're like,
Oh,
Aye.
yeah,
protect
100%.
my kids.
Aye.
So it's a different time. And
Yeah,
I feel for parents, I feel for us raising the next generation. Because God knows what's going to happen in 10
Yeah,
years. 15
next.
years. That's the next thing.
Yeah, it's the scary part.
So you went from Olympic to Jets?
So I went from Olympic. So Jets and Olympic played a friendly game.
Right.
I played with Olympic at the time. Played well. They got in contact with Abbasad, same guy that helped Ahmed.
What
But
a
they
legend.
wanted me to go, but I didn't really want to. In the end, I ended up going down. They signed me on a 3-year deal. Tony Ellis did the deal. But back then that's it. First grade, 20-man squad. I barely played 5 games. Off season, I'd go back to Sydney Olympic just to get some minutes. And plus I had the Australian under-20s, which I'd go into a game playing in India where it's 50 degrees and humid as hell. And I hadn't played a game in how long? So it was really hard. So first 2 seasons, probably played 10, 11 games. Then the third season was my breakout season for Jets. We won the grand final that year. The back end of season 2, my coach at the time, Gary Van Egmont, wanted to sign a guy named Tim Brown, who was a Kiwi guy. They needed someone to leave. So he pretty much started picking on me. I don't want you. You're not good enough.
Just to get rid of you?
Just to get rid of me. Mate, go study in TAFE because I don't think you're going to be a football. Like, just really tried to turn me off the game. Frank Farina was the coach at Brisbane Raw. And because he'd dealt with Ahmed, he was like, I'd love to have Tarek. So he spoke to me, offered me a contract in Brisbane. But I was young and I didn't really want to move away too far from home. I was a 2-hour drive rather than a 2-hour flight. So I said, no, I'm not going. I'm staying here. I'm gonna break into the side one day. Yeah, didn't play me. Season 3 comes around. I've kept fit, played for Sydney Olympic in the off season. Come back, so I'm now flying because I'm super fit. I didn't take any break. Then come around, the season starts. I start, puts me on the bench, starts me again. And it was against him. We played Wellington, season 3. We didn't have a right back, so I was playing winger the first, 2 seasons. We didn't have a right back. So Mark Jones, who was our assistant coach at Jets, was like, put Tarek right back. I was like, Tarek? He hasn't got a defensive bone in his body. And he was like, mate, have you been watching trainings? Because he's a good defender. And he gets forward, and anyway, they played me against Wellington. I got man of the match that game.
Oh, did you?
The next game, he puts me on the bench and he goes, I need consistency. And me being a little smart ass, I was like, yeah, well, give me another go. Where he put me on the second half in that game. And then I started every game. And then at the end of that season, he offered me a 2-year contract. Same guy that wanted to get rid of me.
Brilliant.
And then a few weeks, then he got a 4-year extension as a coach. Then he scrapped that contract and gave me a 4-year deal.
Oh,
wow.
So it's crazy.
It shows you, man.
Football's changing
It's
so
crazy,
quick,
mate. Like
so
football
quick.
just changes.
It's a small
overnight,
world too,
Yeah.
man.
So I signed
Very
there,
small.
whatever. Then Gary left, coach Branko came, we had coaches coming and going. Now I'm off contract. Rob Middleby then offers me a shit contract. He's pretty much saying, we don't want you. But I've been at the club for how long? Fans love me.
Yeah, it's 8 years, eh?
You won a
I was there
championship.
for ages. And I went to the Socceroos at 21 with Pim Verbeek. So I was doing well. Then they didn't want me. They offered me a contract which was significantly less than what I was on. And I was just like, screw you, mate. I know what you're trying to do. I'll make it easy. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Then they came out saying that they offered me a contract and I declined it. So they made me look like the bad guy.
Yeah.
So then I had a thing on Twitter saying that, I wanted to stay. I'm more than happy to take a bit of a pay cut, but not such a significant one. Then the club, Gary Van Egmont, was back this time.
Right.
So he went AIS, came back. And then he had sent me a message in January saying, great game today was against Gold Coast. Great game today. Wish I had a few more players like you, something along those lines. Then their next comment that came out was, he doesn't suit our style of play anymore. But then when I screenshotted that and put it on Twitter, saying you wish you had a few more players like me in January, how can it change so much in 3-4 months?
Yeah.
And then they
So you put that on Twitter?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, and then they cop backlash. Then they ring me, Tarek, you got to stop with the comebacks. I said, man, I'm just speaking the truth.
Quite right, man.
So anyway, I left, came back. I was in Sydney. Where do I go now?
Wanderers.
So Wanderers hadn't established yet,
Right.
but we heard that there was going to be a new club. Mark Bosnich and a few people that knew about it told me just don't sign anything, just wait. I said, okay. So I waited And at the time, he'd just been locked up. My sister had a divorce. There was a lot of things going on in our family, and I didn't really want to be away from it. So I was like, so I thought, mate, this can be the best thing ever. The club in Western Sydney. So Popper gets announced, the club gets announced, Popovich gets announced, calls me into Star City, says, can you meet for lunch? I want to talk to you about the contract. I said, okay. I was dropped my sister was, I was with my sister in the car at the time, so I said to my sister, all right, I've got to drop you off home because I've got to go into the city. Pretty much just put out an offer. I didn't even negotiate. I just wanted to be there. Started. I thought this is going to be the best thing for me. How good is this? Club in Western Sydney where I grew up. To be honest, I hated it.
Oh, really?
Worst decision I made.
Oh.
So I went there. Popovich at the start, he's obviously got 3 months to build a team. So he wanted us to be machines. So I went in there at 76 kilos. You would know a bit about this. I'm 180 tall, 76 kilos. I don't think it was a bad weight. He called me fat and called me in for a meeting, made me lose weight. I went to 71, 72 kilos. I was so underweight because I could not run out a game anymore.
Yeah.
Like I was playing the youth and I was struggling to get through 90 minutes. Yeah. I just felt sick every game. Like my traps would hurt. My triceps would hurt. Like muscles that never used to hurt me before. And then so when the Wanderers first established, you were allowed an extra foreigner just because it was a new club. There wasn't many Aussies out there. So he signed Jerome Pollans, who was a midfielder, but then put him right back, and then my position was gone in the team. Then he told me, bite my time. So everything that could have gone wrong went wrong that year in terms of him not playing me. So Jerome Pollans gets injured. There's 6 games to go or something. I've come in, played every game. We get to the grand final. He tells me, look, Jerome's played all year. He's come back from a hamstring injury. I'm going to give him till the final hour of the grand final, but you'll need to warm up with the starting team just in case he can't get through the warm-up.
Oh, that's a horrible...
Yeah, it's ugly.
That's horrible.
Like, imagine. So anyway, I was turned off football. That was the time I was ready to go, you know what, done. He called me in for a meeting, Popovich, after the grand final. I turned off my phone. I ignored him. I went to Bali. Came back from Bali. At the airport, turned my phone on. I had missed calls from a friend of mine, Ange Costanzo, who was a former teammate of mine, Dom Costanzo's father. He was a good friend of mine, played me at Jets. He's in Adelaide. Joseph Gombau's the coach. Michael Valkanis is the assistant. We need a right back. Find an Aussie right back. So they asked me to go. I got stitched up there, but I ended up going. I got promised a certain wage. I ended up going down a minimum wage, prorated. So I was barely making $1,000 a fortnight. Oh, so it just covered my rent. Yeah. But he told me from jail, he goes, just go, bro. What's the worst thing? If hate it, just then throw the game away. I said, all right. So I went there. Best thing ever. Joseph Gombau looks at me. He's like, you look like a dog. I'm like, thanks, man.
Cheers, mate.
When he's broken English, I didn't know.
And that word in where we grow up.
If you're a dog,
if you get put on a dog, it's pretty fucking. It's on.
I didn't know what he. So he says to me, "You look like this dog, very fast one." He didn't know how to explain.
Greyhound.
Like a whipper.
I was so ripped, 72 kilos from Wanderers. He said, "Hey, you must put on some." I did put on weight. Got back to 78.
Yeah,
felt good. Then he was the first coach to ever tell me, "You are good dribbling the ball." Every other coach I've had, keep it simple. 1 touch, 2 touch, like, okay. And I did what the coach asked. But then I had a guy saying, okay, we're going to play down this side. Give the ball to Tarek. Tarek, you run with the ball. Draw a player, find the pass. And then he just took my game to another level.
Okay.
Then he found out about me being on minimum wage. He freaked out. So he got rid of a player, flipped tables upside down. He done everything and he got me more money.
What he deserved, okay, yeah.
Then a few weeks after, he's like, mate, you're the first person I'll pick every week. Scrap that contract. I'm going to sign you for an extra year and I'm going to give you this much money. How's that? I said, yeah, good. Signed it. I said, but I want 1 clause. If you leave, I can go for free. Oh. So he loved it. So we put that in the clause. He left. Guillermo Amor comes in. I was in the Socceroos at the time. So I had a clause that I could leave. So I had a few clubs that were keen. A few clubs come in. I said to the club, look, might have to go. what do you want? Came up with a figure. They said, yeah, done. I was like, shit.
Bastards, you higher.
So, yeah, I ended up, so I stayed at Adelaide. We won the grand final. Some of the best years of my life. Adelaide will always be a special place. When I went to Adelaide, Popovic, Josep Gombau couldn't comprehend what had happened with Wanderers. He actually said to Popovic, why'd you let this guy go? Because I set up the winning goal. I crossed the ball I played a through ball to Craig Goodwin, who crossed it to Therio, who scored a tap-in against Wanderers. And Popper came to me and spoke to me after the game. And as I was speaking to Popper, is when Josep came past. He's like, mate, how'd you let this guy go? And he's like, it is what it is, you know. So then I was in the Socceroos now. Things are going good. Popper, to his credit, rang me, congratulated me for everything, apologised and explained what had happened at the Wanderers, and was like, one day, I want to work with you again, Tarek. Like, honestly, you got to understand my situation. 3 months to build a team. My first time coaching proper. Like, he was good about it. Then he took me to. Then I came back from Adelaide, done my knee for Adelaide United. That was in the World Cup qualifying time. Again, you think, my career, I was up here, Socceroos, winning stuff at Adelaide. The next year, I'm done my ACL and everything turned to shit. Then I was coming back from the injury. Josep Gombau's the Wanderers coach. Yeah. Fuck, how good's this? My wife was pregnant at the time. I thought, you know what? Let's go back to Sydney. Sign for Wanderers. Popper's, Josep Gombau's the coach. Come back, thought, this is going to be great. He gets sacked. When I signed, hadn't even played a game for him yet. He got sacked at the end of the season. Then Marcus Babel come in.
Marcus Babel.
My God.
He was at Liverpool, wasn't he?
Played
for Liverpool, Marcus Babel.
Yeah, he played for Liverpool. Good guy, but he, like, I was thinking I'm coming home, Josep Gombau. I've just had this massive high to massive low injury. Maybe it's going to come back up. And it just, that was, for me, as he said, that love for football kind of died.
Yeah.
And every footballer will know.
Then I was chasing. Then I ended up going to Perth with Popper. Thought, beautiful. My wife's pregnant with the second. Let's go change things. We'll go to Perth, see if this kicks off my career again. Go there, beautiful house. My daughter loved it. My wife loved the city. It was great. COVID hits. I'm just like, oh, here we go. My wife's about to give birth. I sent her back. Then we got stood down, didn't get paid for 6 months or something. So then I came back. I had a house there. I was paying rent. Just collecting dust. So I was paying dead money. We went on JobKeeper. It was a disaster at the time. Yeah. And then from there, I was like, look, there's just too many signs to just come back home, stay home, get on with life. And what Ahmed said, our life is a schedule. Breakfast is set for you, meet at the airport, training, you can't be late. Everything was a schedule. Yeah. So now, go deal with life.
Go and you go. There's no transition.
No one to organise anything for you. Yeah. No one to book anything for you. Mm-hmm. You got to do it all now. Yeah. It's hard. I lost myself a bit. Yeah. I went through a bad stage in life where you think, I was there, and then you see other players now playing that you're thinking they're not even good enough, but they're playing because they're cheap and the salary cap's gone down. Fox is gone out of the game. Now we've got Paramount, less money. You know, we had backing of Westfields and, you know, Hyundai, and now you got Isuzu. Like there was a lot of shit going behind the scenes. Yeah. Now the clubs went independent at the worst time ever because then COVID hit and they were like, hey, Football Australia, help us. But they were like, no, you want to be independent, deal with it. It was a bad time for Australian football. And even then I'd had enough. So for me, it was like there was a big roller coaster. I lived so many highs, so many lows, but one thing I can take from it is I got to represent my country. That was the biggest moment of my career.
2 brothers to do that is fucking
brilliant, man.
That's very few in the world.
My dad says to my cousins and, you know, family
he says
friends,
it to anyone. He'd say the same thing.
How many sons you got that played for Australia? You know, say that. They come from my ball sack.
That's favourite one.
That's my dad's favourite line.
I'm like, Dad, you can't say that to Tara.
You can't say that.
He said it to her. He says it to anyone he meets. I'm like, that joke's good with our mates.
They come from my ball sack.
That's brilliant.
But to be fair, like, you think in the footballing world of history, there's not a ton of brothers that have been playing professionally. You obviously got the big, like the Bulls and all that, the big top ones, but two players to represent their country. There's a lot of brothers that play
huge,
together,
man.
but
It was massive. And two,
very cool.
Lebanese heritage.
Yeah.
Not many of us.
No, can't imagine.
From Western Sydney, it's massive. Something our parents are proud of, we're proud of.
Of course.
And it's now, the good thing is we're involved at a club where we've been given the club to do whatever we want.
Yeah.
And we're really, when we talk about what's your message to the boys, how do you get them motivated, how do you make them believe?
Look at us.
It's just,
we've
it's
done it.
there.
Look at us. We're there.
We're like you.
We're
We're
with you.
Lebanese. My parents came from war-torn Lebanon and migrated here.
And
So we share a
yeah.
lot of similarities.
Yeah.
If we could make it, why couldn't you?
Yeah.
So now it's kind of, I'll give you an example. We've got a player named Abdul Faisal. My cousin Boris found him at Parramatta under 15s, trained him up, done a lot of ball mastery, got him to a good level, and then said, okay, now you go to Tarek and Ahmad, they'll take your game to another level. I took him to Mount Druitt with me, took him to MacArthur Bulls, then we took him to Perth Glory, and now he's at Central Coast Mariners playing A-League.
Yeah.
Played Asian Champions League, playing A-League regularly. So there's a kid of Turkmen background, a kid that was playing
Local
NPL
kid
3.
From our area.
So here's another story. But what do? We helped him, we trained him, then we put him in contact with Tony Rallis, who can then take him to the next level.
Open another
Because
door
you
for
need
him.
to open doors. We didn't have anyone
you
do
need
that
a team,
for
you need a
us.
team around you.
100%. And you can only open the door for him.
Yep.
He's got to walk through it.
Yep.
We can't
Yeah,
play
of
for
course.
him.
100%.
But if we believe in your ability and we know you're dedicated and you're committed, then we will open those doors for you. We've been in the game long enough to have those kind of connections, but we'll only would only help you if we know that you're 100% committed.
Yeah.
And good enough.
Of course, that's the most important part.
Ahmed, you got to stop talking, mate.
And good enough.
I'm 30. My wife's calling me.
So obviously we're looking at like the this year for Parramatta. Last year where you finished 8th in the men's competition. Do you reckon you've got a chance of winning the competition this year?
So for us, I came in last 6 games as head coach.
Yeah.
And
that's a head coach, assistant coach. That's correct.
yeah, and
Yeah.
we got some more assistants that help us. We've got a lot of good people at the club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got Zach, we've got Alexis, who came from the PM. We've got Stammer, who's involved at Central Coast Mariners.
Coast, yeah.
Ahmed. So I kind of play and coach and really try to build a good culture at the club. So for us, we recruited well. Last year, so different to what you said, your club went to get 11 strong, and then instead of having depth.
Yeah.
Last year we had 11 strong, but we had no depth.
We had 4
So come
injuries
round one, we had 4 injuries and
Yeah, you're done.
We're gone.
Yeah,
then you're chasing. Where this year we went for a bit more depth. So guys that we relied on winning us a game last season are now coming in off the bench.
Yep.
As your number, 13, 14, 15.
Yeah.
So we've got the depth. Our 20s last year were a disaster. This year they're unbeaten.
They're doing
So
well.
we built a good 20s team. It's slowly, baby steps. For me, I don't like to look
Too
around
far.
30.
Yeah.
I always tell my boys.
Take each game as it
So
comes.
our goals this year been, let's win a game. So we've done that round 1. I said, all right, can we win 2 in a row? So this week we won. So the target is, can we get 2 wins in a row? And just take it like that. Because if you're going to sit there and say, we need to get promoted, our goal is to get promoted.
Put that
and you
pressure
don't get
on.
promoted, guess what happens? It's a failure.
That's it.
Yeah,
If you're
it's a
halfway through the
100%.
season, you can't get promoted. The
Yeah.
motivation is very hard to get back in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, just to wrap up, we do it every episode. We go through 4 games from each league.
Yep.
And want your predictions and win,
Win, lose or draw.
lose, or
Okay.
draw. Okay, we'll start at NPL 1. Sutherland Sharks at home to Olympic.
Sutherland will win. I want Olympic to win, but I think Sutherland, with the run they've had and being at
good
home,
start.
Yeah.
Is that Sharks?
It's at Sharks.
I want to go draw.
You're going to draw.
just guess. You don't
Sutherland.
even watch it.
Sutherland.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I've went Sharks. Sydney FC at home to Manly. Sydney FC should have some players back.
I'm going to go Sydney FC.
Yeah, me too. Sydney
Me
FC
too.
win.
Me too.
Because
I'll just copy
Too
you.
easy.
Blacktown at home to Apia.
Ooh.
Oh,
Apia.
Apia.
We'll have to bounce back. But then Blacktown's on a bit of a high.
I know.
I want to go Appy as well.
Yeah.
Apia. I'm going to go draw. Mount Druitt at home to Rockdale.
Rockdale.
Mount Druitt will win.
That's where they do it. Mount Druitt.
Mount Druitt.
Back in the boys.
I'm going to go Rockdale. Jets at home to Hills. So obviously Hills haven't lost an NPL 2 yet.
I think Jets.
I'll go Jets as well.
I'm going Jets.
Based on last season.
Draw. You're going home. Spartans at home to Bonnyrigg Friday night.
I want to go. I was on the synthetic.
On the synthetic.
I think Bonnyrigg. They usually get off to a good start.
Yeah, I'll go Bonnyrigg. They're playing well.
Yeah, I'll go Bonnyrigg.
I'm going to go Spartans. Inter Lions at home to Northern Tigers.
Northern Tigers.
Northern Tigers. We played them. They're fit, man.
I'm going draw.
They're animals, man.
They're always good. They're always good.
MacArthur Rams at home to MacArthur Bulls. Rams haven't picked up a point yet.
I'll go Bulls. I'll go Bulls.
I'll go draw.
Yeah, I'll go Bulls.
I'll sit on the fence with that one.
Tarek, draw.
You know what? For Mo's sake, because I know Brett Hamilton's associated with
Rams.
MacArthur, I'll go with MacArthur.
Okay.
I don't think there's much logic behind that. That's up to you, mate.
I like to think when he gets asked about Para, he'd say
Dunbar at home to Prospect.
Dunbar.
Draw.
I'm going Dunbar.
Yeah. I'll go draw. I don't know.
Draw. Sydney Uni at home to Fraser Park.
Fraser Park.
Fraser Park's the team we play?
Yeah.
Yeah, Fraser Park.
Fraser Park. Granville at home to Gladesville. Both had good results at the
Granville
weekend.
Ridge.
I'm just going to go, Granville Rage.
I'm going to go Granville Ridge.
I'll go Gladesville.
Gladesville. And South Coast at home to Nepean. Last game.
South Coast.
South Coast.
Home win. Guys, thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for your time, lads. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks, lads.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, good episode, man.
Bit of banter.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
What was that guy's name you said? The gaffer was the white.
Oh, Darren.